You get so you get so pissed,
riled up, right? I know.
riled up
Itni,
when Varun is on your
itna.
ass.
I know.
Yeah,
Anyways, Varun, we are
it's like you
here.
don't need me here. It's like you don't need me here for this. Yeah.
Sorry for being 1 minute late, Varun. I hope you are. I mean, I'm seeing zero
No,
people,
I
so
don't
you
think
better
so. He's
bloody come
he's
here.
he's here for
He
the
is
live
here.
yet. Huh?
आ गया one पे. वो थोड़ी ना देखेगा सर हीरा
You
मंडी.
think he's still typing that
Hmm.
comment
He'll typing
in the
hate
chat?
mail essentially
Hate.
for the show
He is
without
not
seeing
going to
it.
Heeramandi. That's the thing. ना जितना भी hate कर लो 7 घंटे तो कोई
Oh,
Hello,
Chris
देखेगा
Chris
नहीं.
Patrick is here.
Patrick.
Varun, you
Hello.
traitor.
Varun is late.
Huh.
I don't think so. Varun is gonna go back and watch this the first 2 minutes either.
Doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I know Chris Patrick has a lot of grievances about the show, so I
Chris,
think
Chris,
he'll
you
be.
have me.
We watched
Chris,
it. Nice.
you should
Yeah,
have
We
me.
yeah,
just
he watched it
बहुत
on
grievances
Friday,
है.
I think.
nice. That's
So I
some
think Amartya
commitment.
and Chris will be joining party today.
Hmm.
Sanjeet has not finished the show.
How
Still
many
haven't.
episodes did you watch? How many
I'm
episodes?
only 4 down yet.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ! You haven't reached the
I
bad
started the
part.
5th, but I was too tired to. No. I get the whole point that it is a little laborious in its approach.
A
You
little.
cannot even think of binging because I was thinking कि today I'll sit down
Binging तो गलत
at
है.
2 o'clock in the afternoon, finish it
कोई
by evening.
वो तो
कोई
गलती है सर आपकी.
congratulate करो. कोई मुझे
अरे,
congratulate.
it's not just
आ
that, यार. I
गया.
was too
आ
preoccupied
गया.
by things.
आ गया कमीना.
वो Dawn वाली entry.
Sorry, Varun. I don't mean to say that. I saw. See, I can surprise people. I'm happy. Anyways, that's a वो 2.5 स्टार है. आधा स्टार सोनाक्षी सिन्हा के लिए और दिल भी उसके लिए है for this show and Lutera.
दिल देख के हार्ट अटैक हो गया.
He's paying tribute to
हाँ
Bhansali ji.
ट्रिब्यूट है सर. आप
I'm
बोलते हो दिखाई नहीं
paying
देता.
because of the-
अब तो
by production design, brown color.
अब अमर्त्या प्रोटेस्ट में सफेद लेके बैठा हुआ है.
Death of cinema.
No ostentatiousness at all. Full coverage.
Anyways,
Chalo.
Varun and
Hello.
Chris Patrick are here, so hello to them. And there's 2 more people. If you are here, if you've seen the show, not
If you're
seen the show,
new.
please tell us who you are, if you want to. Otherwise, you can just listen to us.
Bhansali fan.
If you are new,
you're
please subscribe to the channel first.
Yes.
And like the stream so that it reaches out to more people.
Yeah.
चैट में मौजूद लोगों को इख्तला कर दिया जाता है कि बदतमीजी का जवाब दिया जाएगा. ओके.
For a Bhansali hater, you're talking way too much Hindustani.
वो दूसरा अप्रिसिएशन है सर टैलेंट के लिए. दो श्रिया
appreciation is for something else.
Shreya Pilgaonkar will make a much. I mean, okay. I don't want to dump on the actress.
No,
'cause I know
let's
that
not
it's been a
start.
big. Anyways,
as of
yes.
yet. Yeah.
Hello. I think this is finally we are starting. We are discussing. We basically watched this episode so that some people can, so that we get slightly more views and plays on this.
Absolutely.
Okay. My God. Okay. Hi, Devulina. I think you are in company with Sanjeet. Can I get someone who likes the show a tad bit?
I didn't stop.
You
I
couldn't.
didn't have the time to
You would-
finish. That's
yes,
the
yes.
big difference.
हाँ.
You are a normal person. ठीक है.
Oh God.
Through the cheek. Let that comment stay for a while, no?
For a second, yeah. For a second,
Okay. Anyways, just to remove this.
Summarize what is Heeramandi, no? What is this
Yeah.
Heeramandi?
No, we will be talking
What
about.
is Heeramandi?
No, I've noted down a lot of stuff. Okay, so okay.
Summarize.
Okay, so I was like, this is not going to be something which we are going to extra dump on because it's been dumped on quite a bit. But fine.
I think
we'll
she
talk.
deactivated her account recently. That's what
Yeah,
I
I
read.
mean, तो ठीक है. I mean, everyone gets the point. I think that
Yeah.
no one liked her performance, but it's okay. We'll talk about it, of course, but we won't.
Yeah.
Let's not do
Constructively.
this, please, Varun. Hopefully, no pause. Everyone,
Why are you thinking he's actually going to send it?
no, and it's not about actually thinking. I'm just like, don't do the insulting ka multiplication thing. Like, there's no point.
No, of course not.
Me for that. ध्रुव
हाँ
को
वो अभी आएंगे ना उस पे, लाइक
मैं
ऑटोमेटिकली आएंगे तो फिर चालू तो हो ही जाएंगे. सो आई एम लाइक
Yeah,
लेट्स
yeah,
नॉट.
yeah.
I am
एनीवेज
not going to
ही
be kind at all. Don't
Summarize,
worry.
yes,
what is
Sanjay Leela
Heeramandi?
Bhansali's Heeramandi, the Diamond Bazaar. That is the title of the
All the titles,
series.
episode titles have a
Names of
whatever
the
Hindustani, and then there's like a whole English.
English का thing.
It's
Okay,
like
okay, okay.
रिसर्च किया तुम लोगों ने, बाप रे, थोड़ा पॉजिटिविटी ढूंढने के लिए.
Sir, I didn't mind it honestly till the
this is
last
still better
episode, but
than
okay.
this is still better than it is a film.
Anyways,
That was
Varun,
perfect.
cool down. We will. Okay, fine. You've already made this joke in the private chat. But anyways, Heeramandi, the Diamond Bazaar, is created by Sanjay Leela Bhansali. He's directed all the episodes. He's given the music for all the episodes. Music as in the songs. The
The
background score is
songs,
given by Benedict Taylor. Who's
Taylor
is
Bennett,
he
Naveen Chandavarkar.
Radhika Apte's husband? Or no?
Is he?
I think
Easy.
so.
The
I have
duo are fairly popular. They scored, I remember, Son Chidiya, which is
Sure.
amazing soundtrack.
They've
But
done a
they've
lot
done,
of.
I think,
They've done a lot, yeah.
what is that show which Avinash Arun directed? Patalok.
Patal
Patal.
Lok.
They scored that show as well.
Sure.
So
So,
I think
anyways,
their portfolio is amazing in that sense.
yeah. So writers are Sanjay Leela Bhansali, Divya Nidhi, Vibhu Puri, and Moin Beg
The,
gives the
fun fact: Divya
concept of the
Nidhi
show, right?
recently wrote for Lapata Ladies also. Yeah, he's
No
a
comment.
he's a
बहुत
very old time. You know, he's written a lot of daily soaps. He's written a lot of
no
daily
comments.
soaps, and I
बहुत
think
कुछ
that comes in handy for a subject like
Some,
this.
yes.
Yes.
This is for, I think, Benedict
Sunchi.
Taylor
Benedict Taylor
and
and Naveen
Naren
Chandavarkar.
Chandavarkar,
Naren
yes.
Chandavarkar. Yeah.
DOPs, so I'm basically taking all this info from IMDb, so credit to
Yes.
them whenever it's due.
Because they need our
Uh,
Uh, Sponsored by IMDb. Can we
sponsored by them.
okay, no.
IMDb? Thank you
D-
for sponsoring us.
No. Okay, DOPs Sudeep Chatterjee, Mahesh Limaye, Hyun Stang Mohapatra, and Ragul Dharuman. And I guess these three categories, which I'm going to say now, are probably you can give your claps and whistles and all that to these people, I
Yeah,
suppose, the
absolutely.
most. Which is production
Production design.
designers Shubrata Chakrabarti and Amit Ray. Art
Yeah.
designers Rupam Paul, Sanjeev Sharma, Ashish Mehti, Vinayak Joshi, and costume designers Rimple Narula and Harpreet Narula. Okay, so these are sort of all the credits and all the.
भाई नाम पे भी अब कमेंट जा रहा है क्या?
Varun, leave it, boss.
नाम तो
छोड़ दो उसको बेचारे को या बेचारी को. I don't know actually.
we don't know actually.
No,
Exactly.
Yeah.
but continue. Yeah.
Anyways, the production budget of the show is 200 crores. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sanjeet. Considering you have
Reportedly,
your ways.
but
Reportedly.
apparently,
It must be
apparently it's a
more.
little more than that because a lot went into reshoots. I guess.
Okay, sure.
It's very
And
true.
the film, I see. I will do the film series show. मैं तीनों चीजें बुलाऊंगा, so I'm all पहले से sorry if any
Yeah,
if
yeah,
Varun
अरे
Varun
don't
को
worry,
we
अरे
will
don't
ignore.
worry.
We've been
Bharadwaj
facing this
Rao-
since when? Trial by fire? Yeah.
Trial.
by-
I would ठीक है. I mean, the
epidemic-
limited series is sort of like in that
Yeah,
zone
yeah, yeah.
only.
Don't worry,
Anyways,
Achha, so it
Bharadwaj
basically
Rao-
ends, huh? The show ends by the end, huh? There's no cliffhanger.
Yeah,
no,
or-
no, there's no cliffhanger, but there is a promise of something maybe.
Ah.
A different
promise.
time, a different story of
Promise छोड़ो.
similar.
निकालो यहाँ. निकालो यहाँ.
Okay. Okay.
Anyways, the show is primarily about, and this is again IMDb, so credit to them, the scheming Malika Jan, who's played, I think, quite wonderfully by Manisha Koirala, rules over an elite house of courtesans or tawaifs. That's the terminology used in the show.
Huh.
But a new rival threatens her reign as rebellion brews in British ruled India. I think that's a pretty apt summary of what is going on. Essentially,
Yeah.
it's, to me at least, it's basically the struggle of
Decent enough
independence.
hook if you want to watch. Huh?
No, it's the struggle for independence, or both on a macro level and a micro level.
Micro
basically.
level, correct.
So
correct.
the macro level is the India ka struggle, of course, and the micro level would be the Tawaifs ka struggle within Heeramandi, who want to sort of break through the barriers of that place, which are being ruled by Malika Jan. But Malika Jan herself is under the rule of Nawabs who are under the rule of the British. So there's like a hierarchy totally.
Powerless
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. The whole
It's nicely
power
played.
dynamic thing is
Yeah.
is is
Hmm.
at play
So
there.
basically, so basically बाहर है History Channel, अंदर है Star Plus. That's basically it. Have I got that right? Right? Yeah.
It's not
Okay.
a bad description. Yes.
Yes.
Uh, 200.
Yeah, but
But it
like,
looks good, no?
see, I
Chris
think all
Patrick.
these numbers are in general inflated because 200 crores is not just necessarily spent. Like, if you
Yes,
shoot for
exactly.
6 months, like 180 days, 200 days, which Bansali generally does, you're
Interest
bound to
generate हो जाता है
spend
ना.
that much. Yeah, interest कितना generate होता है
और
तो
इसमें
you
एटलीस्ट
can't
दिखता
escape it.
है
You can't
कि
escape it.
महंगी बनी है, you know, like ऐसा नहीं
Huh,
है कि
because the sets are massive, no? It's like
yeah,
loads and loads of things, like because
seven, what
they've
was it,
built like
700
windows and
700
whatnot.
craftsmen worked for 6 months something straight and
Yeah,
all
हो
that.
सकता है.
Yeah, yeah. नहीं वो सब है, some
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा. I
there's a
didn't read
source.
all that yet.
Yeah, yeah. Bahar है history channel. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think this is a very accurate quote also. Even though oh,
हाँ,
Hello, hello,
संकेत,
hello.
hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
this has apparently been shot over 350
हाँ,
odd days. Yep.
तो definite.
Yep.
That
Yep.
that means almost a year. That's a lot
Seven
of
and a
days of
half
just
hours
shooting only.
of
Imagine
show. So
just
it's
कितने retakes होंगे इसमें, कितना कुछ होगा, and so much
And
scrap footage,
200
and then
crores must
editing
also
all
account
this.
for
The
200
post
crores must
production
also
would have
account for.
been.
sorry,
Sanjeev,
Amartya sir.
correct me if I'm wrong. Marketing
हाँ
budget
हाँ.
count होता है. This 200 crores. Their marketing budget is
they उनकी
separate.
हो ही
choice है.
जाता होगा मेरे ख्याल से.
हाँ.
I think most of these numbers are always inflated in some way.
Yeah.
तो you will never understand कि मतलब क्या exactly, because कोई कुछ बोलता है लेकिन होता कुछ और है.
Yeah.
Like reported budget on of something like Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum everywhere would be 25 to 30 crores. For a film in
That's
2003, that is massive budget,
Massive.
right?
Massive.
2001, I think, whatever. But actually, the budget of the film was 54.5 crores.
कमाया
Then
कितने
why
से?
put out the number 30 everywhere, right? So it's a little always the case that you will never really know the real costs.
हाँ.
So
अमर्त्या को is this needs to go on the poster.
t-shirt.
I
But
think
it's a film के
poster.
साथ. It's
हाँ,
a
no,
film.
no, it's a film is actually like bad. This is actually good. Uh,
It's a film was very bad. It's like out of the line.
पहेली सॉरी पहले ही बोला भी बोला है ये सब छोड़ो सर रेबल मून से बेटर है संजीत ये
100%.
I can
अच्छा
100% say that. I can say it.
There is no
So, I
rhyme
mean-
or reason to that film.
नहीं बट रेबल मून को अगर आप इतने पैसे दे सकते बट आई थिंक इट्स क्रिस पैट्रिक डिड आस्क क्यों दोगे आई थिंक Bhansali has an aesthetic that reaches out not to the Indian only
which we
but
will definitely
global,
cover as
yes.
context
Yeah.
for this show. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we've decided to essentially talk about the show. I have decided to structure this show into 3 parts,
Let's be
just
accurate.
because I'm a control freak, I suppose. Anyways, no, but I think we have previously tried to discuss TV shows and we've struggled to talk about them coherently when we sort of talk
because
about them in
lots
free
of
flow because
thoughts
there's
move in
lots
them.
of things to come through. So we've sorry, this sigh is for this, but we are first going to talk about the form, the series form, film form, whatever you want to say, which is basically your cinematography, costume design, production design, the authenticity of it, and what does authentic mean in this particular sense, because there have been controversies,
Aesthetic.
unsurprisingly, because if a show is big enough, you will get controversies. So yeah, I think those are the sort of I want to begin with that because he's lauded most for the look of a lot of his stuff, right? So I think we can begin with that. Then we can go to the quote unquote narrative or narratives, I suppose, which Amartya will be very, and I will also be fairly critical about. And then we can go to the characters and performances, which will be a pretty mixed bag, I think. But anyways, we can begin with the good then. I think the form and the sort of, firstly, like let's begin before the form. Are we any?
Hold on. Define me again. What does form entail in this conversation? Form मतलब
So-
क्या visual form?
Form मतलब visual form
yeah.
or audio form, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just before that, actually, are any of us SLB fans? Sanjay Leela Bhansali fans?
No.
No.
I
I
think that
genuinely think he's a very very good director.
yeah,
I always doubt on his storytelling skills in general because I find
dramatist,
him,
not a good dramatist,
huh,
right?
I
Hmm.
mean, dramatist is. I mean, I think he does sell his drama to a lot of people. We
Sure.
might not be the right audience, but his films in general have worked. Let's be
Sure.
honest.
Yeah.
Right from Dil De Chuke Sanam to Devdas and then Black, like something like Black could work in mid 2000s. I think it's a great achievement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something like Savaria doesn't work. Also, is I think gives into his
Yeah.
cinema in
That's a
general.
swing,
And I
and that's a
will
huge swing.
somewhat
Yeah.
defend that movie also. I don't mind
No,
it.
no, it's not about
But
Uh,
like I'm not putting throwing that film under the bus, but I'm just saying in general,
yeah.
it plays to his aesthetic. So he
I actually
has
think something
worked for
like
that aesthetic in
I
that in
actually
general.
think something like Savaria works because it's not his original creation also. The script,
Okay,
it's a
it's a remake.
Dostoevsky
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's
short
based
story, which he
White Knights,
White
something.
Knights,
something
I
like
think.
that. I'm
I think
sorry,
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to look at the comments and I'm just
For a for a
you know
for a population of a country, मैं तो ignore ही करता हूँ वो सब comments. See,
bolo bolo.
those are like white noise. I'm so
Yeah.
used to watching Heeramandi, I can filter out white noise. It's fine.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so I mean, I think it's important to establish though that we are not Sanjay Leela Bhansali fans because I think there
Yeah.
is and
no,
hmm,
I'm not a fan for one very specific reason. I think that is also the reason why Bhansali's work sells. I think Bhansali is basically transplanting the melodrama which daily soaps and TV serials have been doing for a very long time. He's transplanting that melodrama, but he's also putting it in within a very established sheen of his own.
yeah.
But
Because there's
sorry for interrupting, but I think the
no, no,
drama
no.
in the TV in TV that has that seeped in,
Mhm,
let's say in early
mhm,
2000s,
mhm.
was a derivation from of like films only, right? In general,
Films only. Yeah, of
like a
course.
more bastardized version was TV,
Yeah.
and then I think he's doing his own version of
I have
just
to
Mhm.
flag
old
this up because it's
films.
quite funny. So, uh, anyways, we'll get there, Chris Patrick. But before that, I think we fairly are unanimous on appreciating a lot of the form of the show, right?
I mean,
So
That's the one thing that looks
You
nice.
want to
There is a
do
reason.
early quick thoughts, like two-liner quick thoughts,
yeah,
like so
let's
that
do.
we
Yeah,
get into
मेरा
it.
क्विक
Like
लाइनर मेरा क्विक
हाँ,
लाइन
इसका तो हो गया.
मेरा हो
इसका
गया
हो गया. अमर्त्य का हो गया.
Yeah.
That's true actually. Sanjeet, you say you've seen half of it, right? So what
I've
were you
only
sort of?
reached like the fourth episode. I've just finished the fourth. I started the fifth, but I couldn't like watch it ahead because
Yeah,
no
it's
time.
not because he
रोमांस
hated
तक
the show.
पहुंचा
Just to
No,
put
रोमांस
a
तक
I didn't
पहुंचे
hate it. I
हाँ
didn't. I genuinely
रोमांस
didn't
तक
hate it.
रोमांस
Sorry.
तक पहुंचे रोमांस तक पहुंचे
हाँ
हाँ
रोमांस
चालू
चल
तो
ही रहा
वही
है ना वो
चल ही रहा
तो
है ना वो
सेकंड
तो
थर्ड से ही चलता है
हाँ हाँ मतलब वो जब निकल
सेंट्रल नहीं
जाती है
हुआ अभी तक
बात
उतना एसेंशियली
हाँ
या
हाँ हाँ
नहीं
वही
नहीं
वही
उतना नहीं हुआ है अभी.
अच्छा अच्छा
But I think it is very interesting in how he's basically staging it because it does feel like stagey drama in very very
सॉरी सॉरी awful comment
Sanjeet,
Varun.
let me. Sanjeet has seen the hero.
Awful,
He's yet to watch.
awful, awful, awful.
your
Sorry.
definition of Hira is very suspect Varun it's
Yeah.
entirely Manzoor
Great film, Mandi. Huh? By the way, by Shyam Benegal. You
yeah
should
by
watch it.
Shyam Benegal yes
Great recommendation out of nowhere.
yeah
Um, I genuinely like it is a very stagey drama until he starts moving the camera, which I think is very interesting.
very
It's not. I mean, it is an interesting choice. I
But do
mean,
you
it's not
think
like
the
he's doing it for the
staginess?
first time.
No, no. I'm just asking, and I've not seen these films, so please, whoever
Huh.
has can chip in about it. But how much does it draw from something like Mughal-e-Azam and Pakiza and all these films, which also had performative sequences of dancing, of mujras,
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
so
did the camera in those films also act almost like ki we've gone onto the stage and we are watching
It was not
a
as
performance?
expressive. उस समय तो
no no
Sure.
कैमरा कहाँ ही मूव करता था
No,
यार.
I'm asking.
वही
Like
I have no
barely there were barely films which
context.
would move camera, beyond pans and like tilts and all that.
Sure.
Like I'm talking like dolly push-ins and track-ins and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the first episode I think is a very good setter for like the tone of the film in general or of show. I've
Show, film,
forgotten.
series, whatever. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Uh,
भरद्वाज रंगन ने भी मूवी रिव्यू
it
ही
is
लिखा है उसके वीडियो पे
हाँ.
so it's fine
total maximalist nature of it. Either you will like it or you won't like it. So it's like if you want to
Committedly
watch it,
so. It's like I
committedly
think
so.
it's the whole key.
Like
If you're
I
going into a Sanjay
that
Leela Bhansali
bit
film or show or
that
whatever.
bit when that pearl bit comes, right? Where she loses
Hmm.
that moti, like Sharmila
Yes.
Sehgal's character,
Yeah, yeah.
और वो
and
उसके
she
ऊपर
goes into the like
the
inside,
पानी के अंदर. हाँ, she
yeah,
to find the
underwater
pearl. हाँ.
to find it. I was
हाँ.
like, huh, abhi, matlab, this is what the show is.
Yeah.
This is the heart of
The
I
the
mean, I
the
mean, my
basic
first,
opera.
logic, huh?
I mean,
The
my
coda
first
of it,
reaction
you
was,
can say.
I mean, my first reaction was, you can just drain the pool to take the pearl out. You can do that.
Sir, ये I think गलत expectation है on your part, but okay, we'll
Huh.
discuss
No,
this.
no,
हाँ.
no,
No,
no.
but I
That's the
think
difference. जब शो खत्म हुआ, रिव्यू दिखने के बाद मेरा एक्सपेक्टेशन वो
अच्छा,
आया,
okay,
तब तक
okay, okay, okay,
but
okay.
also in general, I don't think so we are the right audience for this show. This show
I
is
to
specifically
okay.
made for US citizens who liked watching something like RRR.
Really, I don't think so,
I
यार.
genuinely believe
Or
it.
no,
I
but
genuinely
let's
believe
just
it.
say then my
I mean,
NRI
it
card
is
works also
pandering.
then.
हो सकता
but
है,
Triple
but I'm
R,
saying, but I'm
but
just saying
Triple R
it
and
genuinely
Android
panders
series.
to something like what Bhansali people like,
Hmm.
stuff like even Gangubai worked, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
releasing in
obviously.
pandemic, it made 130 crores. Even though it's a flop, it still worked, right?
Hmm.
Something like all Padmavat was a massive blockbuster.
Massive.
Massive,
All
massive.
his films have been blocked because there is an audience for that. They want to watch
The
something.
smaller films didn't do well, I think. But the bigger ones have all done well.
But I'm talking the last decade is where
Yeah.
Bhansali has been just a different beast in
Yeah, yeah,
general.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like it or not, you know.
Hmm.
But it's like this whole panoramic view which is basically फट रही है स्क्रीन के बाहर. मतलब
हाँ.
मुझे ऐसी
Yeah.
फीलिंग आ रही कि मैं स्क्रीन की साइड में देखूं और क्या है. Like you
Hmm.
get that feeling of
Hmm.
it. So the
Yeah.
feeling is of course very consistent, and also there's this one thing with Bhansali which in general I think we should keep in mind before watching any of his work is that it will always be inaccurate. It will never be what
हाँ,
we
मतलब
expect of
वो
it,
एक्सपेक्टेशन
but
गलत
it
है.
will be consistent. It will be
I,
consistent.
I want to
That's
get
the
into
basic thing.
this. I want to get into
Huh.
this also. And
But these are my
Varun,
basic
I think
whatever
you
thoughts.
actually make some sensible points on this. So please do that on in the comment section. ये सब छोड़ दो जो आप कर रहे हो, please. ये वरुण का दिमाग है जो ऐसे ही चलता है तो उसका कुछ कर नहीं सकते. But anyways, I was saying we'll go to the authenticity and the
Yeah, yeah.
in
That's a
correct
massive
angle of
point.
it.
As being women in their 20s and over possible हो सकता है.
I'm a fan of Ram Leela, by the way. So I think that's the sort of vibe I am with when Bansali is going for it. But anyways,
What is like
Can I bring
you
a
mean like
context here?
wacky type?
Yeah,
no, not
And not
wacky,
serious.
but like
Can I bring a sensible context here? My sensible context
Please,
is
please.
I watched this show with my mother.
yes,
That is one of the bigger sensible persons in my world. Okay, so my mother hates this show.
okay,
Hates it. She is the
Okay.
massive Bhansali lover. She hates it. One of the biggest reasons for her hating this show is also one of the reasons which is stuck to me. This Bhansali Uvra is not sustainable for 7.5 hours. There is a massive runtime thing which works here and which is working against this show.
but you and your mom
because
watched it full binge mode.
Binge. I think
my
that's the
mom
bigger
couldn't full
problem.
My mom couldn't full binge it. My mom watched it the next day, rest of the 4 episodes. My mom watched
Okay.
4 episodes first,
हाँ.
rest of the 4 episodes she was later on. But वो half जो किया वो उसने binge किया.
Sure.
Okay, so
मैंने भी वैसे ही
semi-binge.
देखा, half करके देखा. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like मेरे जैसे तो पागल नहीं है लोग. Like
You had work. That's why you watched it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have. Yeah.
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 So the thing about it is that I appreciate the visuals a lot more because like this is clearly, and I think I wrote it also in the review. This is very much a spiritual successor to Gangubai Kathiaware in that it is
Correct.
basically exploring not even the same characterizations of the world that
Correct,
is the
correct.
courtesan.
Framing,
The-
everything is same.
Yeah, everything is same.
Yeah.
The person he's interested in, the work that he's interested in, all of it is same. And this is nothing new, right? He explored that in Devdas. He explored it in Devdas. Chandramukhi's character in Devdas. That is basically kind of like the beginning
He's
of that version
consistently been in like getting
Fascinated, obsessed.
No, it's not
whatever.
really fascinated, but I mean, he's always explored it, and I would say that in his own way. Again, this is very contestable, and there's plenty of evidence that you can counter this. But I think he is trying to empower that aspect of womanhood.
Here's where I have a problem.
That's a
The
narrative
fact,
issue and character issue, right? We'll
it's like,
get to it.
it's like that word you're using, empower. I have a massive problem with that word because
Sure,
I don't
we
think
will
it's
we will
empowered.
we, we'll address that
But
in
he's
the.
elevating these characters to pedestals, which I am okay with. My issue with it is what the show should entail on paper, because this is a 7 hour long show. Netflix has like put a gazillion amount of money on it. This should have been his thesis, right? This should have been his encapsulation of all his feelings about the waves, about courtesans. That should have been it.
True.
I think he failed massively at that,
Okay.
like massively,
Okay.
and I think it's entirely his fault. Also, I think his ambition. I think his ambition towards scale trumpeted his ambition on storytelling, because
Sure.
storytelling का full धज्जिया चला गया है मतलब.
Fair enough. And I mean,
Casting उसके बाद में है. I think overall
Sure.
storytelling itself is a mess.
Sure. I mean, I've got some examples of like just I've noted these examples because I thought these were interesting instances of him showing the visual flair in a good way. I mean, there's I messaged Sanjay saying all the bird's eye view shots in this are magnificent. Like they are the ones where I'm just like wow. And the
First
reason
episode
for
is the first episode really the first
Suckle
episode
Bun,
was
especially, right?
the
I
first
think.
Yeah,
episode,
I really like that track.
the first episode in which the camera is focusing on the mirror shot above, that there is a mirror hanging on
Yeah.
shot above, then it is slowly panning downstairs. And I'm like, that is such a classic Bhansali shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if it is not classic, that is a shot only he could take, because
Yep.
he created the set for it, and then he's building the camera and utilizing it exactly like that. That is an idea that only he could have. So I was extremely, intrigued. I was like, okay, if this is your visual aesthetic, I'm okay with it. I
I'm
want
not
to
sure,
see where it
Varun, if that's a flaw, if that makes sense.
No, I think Varun's issue, and Varun, I'm not trying to speak for you at all. I'm just saying, okay, my issue with the fact is not that he shot it like a film. I think he even utilized everything he uses in a film, he uses in his films, which is why all the dialogue bazis, all the characterizations and everything, all of it would have worked massively well in his films. Like, I think if this was like 2.5 hours long, like say a Bajirao Mastani, I wouldn't have a problem.
Interesting. I mean, again,
In a television show, my personal opinion is, in a television show, because there is a longer runtime, doesn't need longer plot. For me, a television show should have a depth of characters.
yeah. The writing is greater than visual in any case, I think, on television.
100%.
Right, so,
For a television show.
yeah.
Correct.
यहाँ पर
For
problem है
longer
कि
run.
यहाँ पर problem है कि shot it like a film, but he took. I'm so sorry to bring this up, Dhruv. Don't kill me. He basically thought of himself as Bellatar and made Satan type. नहीं चाहिए. 7.5 घंटे का नहीं
This
चाहिए.
is okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not think this is going to come up, but okay.
This was a film, the same cinematography would be.
Exactly.
No, but I feel this is like
So-
I'm not
I think
doing this
that's a
to. Sorry, Sanjeev, go ahead.
बोलो संजीत.
No, I feel it has a lot to do with the writing and the editing of the show, because it takes its leisurely. I thought of, because it is a TV. I mean show. I mean not TV show, but you get my point.
Yeah.
It is taking that leisurely time, which it shouldn't, because then you're exhausting your viewer in that sense. Because I will be very honest, it's not that I hate the show or I dislike it at this point. I'm 4 episodes in, right? I still think its biggest flaw, and in the first episode at least, was it could have just been a little more efficient with its shot taking and with the editing of its form, because then you could have just compressed a bit and said the same thing better in the second
the short
episode, which is I
the-
think
the-
only 45 minutes, I think.
No, but Sanjeev, just to get to this, in the shot taking is very similar for a lot of the episodes, which is the fact that you have a wide and then he closes in very.
No.
you know?
Yes. But I'm saying the building of the moment, right? In the first episode, the building of a moment, the moment is excessive. इतना build-up नहीं चाहिए किसी एक moment के लिए. In the second episode, let's say when Lajjo's character passes away,
Yes.
वो
Yes.
point पे आने के लिए to feel that effect, to feel that shock that she has passed away, वो effect कभी वो stay on होते नहीं, because we don't see her in frame in that, in that
Yeah, I
sense
was
that she's
very
living now.
sure.
Because
Yeah.
Hamisha, like the parts where we see her alive, I mean, again, amazingly well performed. I think Richa Chadda was amazing in that performance
Amazing, yeah.
because she
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
the sur of the whole thing. Because her
Yeah.
sur is basically what the show's sur is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see her once in front of the mirror when she's getting ready. Then she's at the cafe, like trying to barge in. And there's that one shot where she's alive when the camera's on her through the window, glass window, across. That's one shot. And then
True, we
later
ignored
on,
the comments.
you never get to see her, right? So you needed to feel that character and build up to that she's going to die.
Exactly.
When she suddenly dies, and then you feel like, I needed that, even though if it's a
Absolutely.
shock thing, I need to feel
absolutely.
it.
नहीं
I
but
need to
वो I
feel
think
that
है issue
sadness,
like
that grief,
like,
and even one last thing, and even when
no, go ahead.
when she's like when they're doing the whole funeral thing, right?
Yes.
At the place, and there's this very wide shot of
Yes.
all of them
Right.
sitting
It
in
begins
that.
with an over the top shot again, I think. Like the
Again, there is no build up to. There's, I think, just one dialogue of, I think, which I think I noted
Manisha
it down, but
Koirala.
I've lost it. Manisha Koirala, some dialogue. So, and it just next moment is the song. I feel you should build on some dialogue there, and then
Exactly.
approach. But I haven't read any of the comments now. I
Because
need to.
that's how classical. Because that's how classical Bollywood movies work anyway, right? Before the song,
Exactly.
there should be a build up to the song.
Exactly, that's the
so
thing.
so there is one particular scene like that's my I would say the flagship scene जिसके लिए आप सोच लो मैंने आधा स्टार एक्स्ट्रा दिया है types is the Malika Jan and
The photo shoot scene.
yes, the photo shoot
know-
scene I think I love. It's because what Sanjit is saying about the build up, right? There's everything in that scene which is executed in a way where you get the impact of because it's framed in a way that Faridan, right? That's Sonakshi Sinha's
Faridan,
character.
yeah.
Sonakshi Sinha,
Faridan
yes.
is basically like sitting. This is episode 6, if I'm not wrong. She's sitting, whatever, in and doing her poses in the very lavish and sort of grandiose way that Sonakshi Sinha is doing those performative things. But there's been two secrets that have been revealed at that point, and then Malika Jan. So both of them know a secret of each other, but
Yeah.
each of them don't know that the other knows it essentially. So it's basically Sonakshi Sinha thinks she has the upper hand. So in the first part of the scene where Malika Jan is walking towards her and then she sits and interacts with her, you see her in power in terms of the voice, in terms
The
of the way
camera-
she's speaking,
the
the
camera
camera is framed, everything. And then gradually she calls her behind to take a photo.
Yes.
Sonakshi Sinha calls Malika Jan's character behind and she reveals her secret. And the way it's blocked essentially is that now Malika Jan has her hands over
her hands on
Sonakshi
Spice's
Sinha.
face, yeah.
Like it's almost
Yeah.
like she's strangling her, but like telling her to take a photo. So you get a full flow, and in that movement, you see the power dynamic change. And I think that's the one sequence in the film where I was like, yes, you've gotten the exact core of this conflict, this scene, and everything. And that's
And that is
the
what
one
the show
scene.
should have been.
Which is,
Yeah,
I think
that is
Chris
what-
Patrick also said, right, I think this is what
Yeah,
he had
okay.
said.
So,
Yeah.
are we going into spoilers? Because I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but
I
you
will.
want to finish the comments? This
Yeah, sure.
then should filmmakers
Should
then have a swing at a 4 episode?
I
Most
think they
definitely
should.
when you
So
don't
I'm
have
just
that
saying
much
that
screen
this needed 10
Depends
or
on-
12, I think. So
No,
with the
but
what?
here's, no, here's the thing. I think they should for a 4 episode or a 6 episode format, which begs the question: then why put it to 8 and why have it longer? Clearly, you have a bigger story to tell. So
Yeah.
I think, and this is coming from a guy who doesn't like the show. I think it should have been a 2-season show, for
Yeah.
me at least. I think it should have been
Okay.
a 2 season show to space stuff out.
Yep.
Because this clearly needed spacing out.
Yeah.
Okay, clearly it
Well, I
did.
mean, midpoint we I'm sure they can find. There's plenty of
Yeah, yeah,
those
yeah.
How
high
many
moments.
No, no,
episodes was Trial by Fire?
10,
eight, eight, yeah,
10,
10.
8.
8. I
Let me
think that
check. We
should be
can
the
check in two
template in
seconds.
general. जितना कहानी है उतना ही कहानी का एपिसोड होना चाहिए. Not
I
like
thought
just you don't
Jubilee
need
was also
to.
Again,
pretty well
Yeah,
spread
that
out,
was
to
also I
be
think 10
honest.
again,
episodes
here's the
only or 8.
yeah, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so again, geek with getting to eight is here's the thing. Okay,
Hmm.
Netflix as a streaming service assigns how many episodes a show should get. One of the
Hmm.
bigger examples of that was the Netflix ka Marvel TV shows like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones,
13.
all of this. 13. Like those shows had stories only for 4 episodes, but they were stretched to 13. You can
Yes,
understand
yes.
that it had been
Yeah.
stretched. Okay,
Varun, if you
so
think Jubilee rushed it at the end, well,
no, I guarantee it didn't. I can effing
no.
guarantee it didn't. It had flaws, mind you, but I can effing guarantee that wasn't the
There
case.
was also The Hard, which was actually rushed at the end.
Dahar
Okay,
was
okay,
actually,
interesting.
yeah.
For the
Okay,
show, which
okay, fine. By
good
mistake, I
question.
highlighted that. Anyways, sorry.
No, okay, so here's
I was
the
shocked that it wanted to.
But why are you highlighting this, Jeet?
don't highlight it, don't highlight it, don't highlight it. No, here's the
I
problem.
want.
Here's the
Okay.
thing. Here's the thing. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm going to make this a
Oh, we are doing
television
narrative,
show.
right? So,
Yeah, I'm
anyways.
going to
Yeah.
make this a television show writing 101. So bear with me for a second. A television show has effectively two plots: plot A, plot B. Then there is a third plot, plot C. Plot A, if this is a long show because this is a serialized television, okay, plot A is going to do what plot C used to do. So plot A is going to be the original storyline which is going to
The
develop
core.
forwards.
Yeah.
The core. So what is your core story? Malika Jan and Faridan ka
Rivalry.
conflict. That is your core story.
I mean, it begins
So,
with the scene with,
yeah,
mother and
The
like
past
the sister.
sequence
Correct.
set
So
up
it
essentially.
makes sense.
Yes.
Correct.
Huh.
Yeah.
plot A should be this. This should go on
Correct.
through. Okay. Plot B. Plot B should be Indian independence movement. So
Yes.
that should be Aditi Rao Hydari's entire
Yes.
subplot ka arc, which is your entire thing and everything else, what is going on in the background. Because the background is important, which will suddenly explode in the final episode.
Yes.
Because that's
Yeah.
how plot B works.
Yeah.
Plot B works because that's how you do it.
Or it will start to very gradually seep in, like
Gradually.
Seep into the
very
main
very
narrative.
gradually,
Right.
very gradually. Yeah.
Right.
Again. So that's one. Plot C is everything else. Now here's where the main thing comes. How do you measure out and distinguish plot C? Good TV show writers who have been doing this for decades, a model which Netflix and all the other streaming services in their infinite wisdom wanted to destroy, but now they have finally come back to because they're like, oh, TV is nice again. Anyway, so now plot C, what plot C is, all the individual characters with their own arcs and everything. What good TV show writers did, they devoted an entire episode from beginning to end on their arc, or entire 2 episode structure beginning to end on the arc. So the
Like a
Lajjo story,
self-contained,
exactly.
you know,
So the
plot
Which
Lajjo
they
story.
do, I feel, with one of the characters, if you want to say,
Yeah,
In the
with
second
Lajjo's
episode,
character.
they should have
Yeah.
done that with all the characters. So
Yes.
episode 3, which is Lajjo's. So Lajjo's story should
No,
have
no,
been
Lajjo's is
Episode
episode
two.
2. Episode
yeah,
2.
episode 2. Lajjo's story is a one and done, right? More or less,
Yes.
it's a one and done. I think it leads somebody.
उसमें थोड़ा थोड़ा और है, but mainly you can see कि center
It is
focus
core is
वही है.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you do is you put that entire episode into one single episode. You do it completely from her perspective. So you see Malika Jan and everything going on in the background, but you don't notice it too much. You just see that it's going on in the background. You don't have to put focus on it. You
Yeah,
just
and
see
also her scenes with Aditi Rao Hydari, I think, are quite moving and nice.
Quite good, yeah.
The Lajjo's moments with her.
Lajjo's, yeah.
So
Like
which
the
are
whole
just-
delusion bit, right? Just
Yes,
Whole
yes.
delusion.
snap out of
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whole delusion. Exactly. So episode 2, Lajjo ka bit you do. Okay. Then comes the romance, quote unquote. So the romance bit, which is
Before moving, Amartya, could you give us an example of a show that does all these three things well? Any example, so that there is a reference point for people to understand how you could
See,
do it probably
see,
well.
I can mostly bring up. See, I can mostly bring up old American TV shows or old
Haha,
English TV
anything,
shows.
anything that does
Like,
it better.
like if you check out any procedural TV shows of the 90s or early 2000s or any of them, right? Like, see, okay,
Hmm.
easiest example, Castle. Easiest example, Castle
Sure.
by Nathan
Correct.
Nathan Fillions,
Hmm.
Tana
Yeah.
Katie. 6 seasons
Yeah.
are every season had a every season the
Had a
plot
through
A
line.
because yeah
I
because
mean,
this
Correct.
show because Castle used to be a procedural show. Okay, so every episode
Yeah.
would have a
Yeah.
case of the week. That would have been your plot A. But plot C would be an internal seasonal arc which would be building throughout. And because they had
Throughout.
22 episodes, they can sprinkle that plot C
yeah.
until the end point when the plot C would take precedence.
I'd even
I
argue
have
that
one
something
recommendation.
like,
Just if you
huh,
like watching comedies, then there is a show called Louis, which is by Louis C.K.
Louis
And the
C.K., yes.
fourth season is exactly that. I mean, it is. I mean,
okay,
the writing
Hmm.
throughout the show is amazing, but
yeah.
Exactly.
No, but
season four in itself is like a self-contained thing. But yeah,
but
please,
I think
sorry.
we don't need to go to a Western. Like I think you can watch Jubilee, and Jubilee does a much
No, I
better
was
job of
going to say I was
melding the
going to say
outside with the inside, how it intrudes
Huh.
into. So I feel and
But
if
it
you're
did
going
have,
to,
but it did have, which we all found slightly unappealing plot thread. So the communists versus the capitalist
I
narrative,
didn't
yeah,
which
mind
was like
that. I mean, it
we
feels
didn't
extra,
mind, but
but
it is a little
it is
it is
unappealing,
a
extra.
right?
bit
It
it
does
is a
take
bit
a lot to
extra.
get all three things
Yes,
perfect, and
yes.
at least I think Jubilee is a perfect show. You get it? So
Yeah, yeah,
But
I'm
इसमें
just saying,
उसमें I think the idea is at least that the political side does seep into the whole thing by the end. So it's like they destroy everything. The war
So
essentially destroys the whole.
Jubilee का
correct,
political side you should have is the पुराने ज़माने का plot C, which is basically
हाँ
there is something happening in the background
हाँ
which you should. So
correct,
basically, Aditya
correct.
Hydric plot B, which is
yes.
basically happening in the background. It is developing, but it will explode towards the
And
end.
it is the least developed out of all things, definitely. I think, like
Hmm.
out of your plot A, B, and C. But usme I think A or B are extremely strong also. In Jubilee.
Hmm.
A
And also,
A to hai hi, I think. But anyways,
it,
whatever. Let's not talk about
and
Jubilee.
also
You can
here's the
listen to our
problem.
episode if you want to. It's on Spotify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Spotify.
here's the romance. Also, the romance ka bit which we have to talk about. I think the romance ka bit should have been number one. It should have been short and massive. I don't think it needed
So
any of.
spoilers. Do you think they should have just basically killed them off quicker, killed him off quicker?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
फर्स्टली तो
No, पहले
मुझे तो ये
एपिसोड
नहीं
में ही
नहीं पहले तो मुझे यही नहीं समझ आया कि ये वो उसका कॉन्शियंस कैसे जागता है. आई एम जस्ट लाइक, भाई तूने कुछ नहीं
वो
किया यार,
बोलता हूँ
पैम्फलेट
वो
बांटने से तेरा वो हो गया.
exactly. So that though is number one. Number two is
हाँ
the romance ka bit. I think should have been done one and done within 2 episodes. First of all, I don't think Sharmeen Sehgal's character itself deserved to be a quote unquote third lead.
श्योर.
See, I understand theoretically what she is.
यस
Theoretically, she is the new India. So is Tahasha. Tahasha is also the new India. She is also the
बट
new
वो यू
India.
हैव नो.
The dream of new India that is slowly and steadily rising amidst the shackles of old India. I can
हाँ.
understand. But you need to develop it more and more. Jesus
अरे नहीं,
Christ.
बट अमर्त्य, what you're saying is totally right, but I feel you have that new India वाला in Aditi Rao Haidari's character anyway, so just chuck this
Aditi Rao
thing
Haidari,
out.
no. Aditi Rao Haidari's character is the freedom fighter ka character who wants to make the world a better place for New India to survive. That is why she's also
नहीं, but
helping the romance.
but
That is
no,
why
but
she's
if
also
you're
helping the romance to
हाँ,
her.
but why would you even, तो उसको रोमांस में डाल दो किसी के साथ, I suppose. Like I'm just saying कि you can easily remove only that thread and like apply it to another character just to make your drama more structured, more
Yeah.
contained in some ways. Because the point here is, I think clearly the romance doesn't work for almost anyone. And I think the problem is that it is
sadly.
a big thing because it is so central to the motivation of a lot of people
Emotional.
in the show.
Yeah.
No, it is the thing. Like people are fighting for it to survive in some ways. It's like सब कुछ हो जाए, ये innocence almost of the romance shouldn't die down. But yeah, the romance
I
is
mean,
it's just not
the
good.
romance
So
is very, very weakly developed, and I also think because the romance takes so much time, The plot B, that is the independence ka plot, doesn't get developed at all, which is why in the end there is a sudden
Yes.
jump. It's like 2 to 3 episodes ka skip ho gaya and we suddenly move to the series finale.
Yes.
So that's what happens.
Yeah.
So here's basically what it boils down to. I think Sanjay Leela Bhansali got the amount of money needed, got the production needed, got all the okay by Netflix, got all the love by Hollywood because he's the most Bollywoodish filmmaker alive, all of it. But he did not understand कि filmmaking का writers room और TV making का writers room में बहुत difference है.
I to
He
think
needed
honestly,
difference in the writers.
honestly, Amartya, उसकी films में भी issue है ही. Like I've at least
Which
felt
is
so.
fine,
So
but I'm also
yeah,
judging it as a TV show because he made a
sure,
goddamn TV show.
sure.
So
Yeah,
I have to judge it as a TV show.
yeah,
Even though every filmmaker is judging it as a movie, I'm sorry. It's a different medium altogether. It's high time
yeah,
people understood that.
yeah.
No, but I think the bigger issue also, I mean, given the actor who didn't perform as well, or
No, you
actors,
can name. No,
I,
let's just say. I mean, we are. I just don't want needless abusing for someone who has
no,
already
we
been
aren't
told
abusing.
how. No, I'm just saying that is
I'm
fine,
just
but we can
saying,
critique. Of course, there's no problem with that.
Bolo,
I
bolo,
think
bolo.
the strongest bits for a Bhansali film have also been the characterization over the plot.
Yeah,
That is very obvious from like his earlier films only.
yeah.
Even
Of
Khamoshi
course.
had that. Like the characters took precedence over,
Hmm.
the plot, or leave alone plot. Just like being so central to the conflict and XYZ and whatnot, right? Take into example like whatever Bajirao came in, or even Padmavat. It is central. I think when
पद्मावत
you're
वाला वो
doing,
जो स्टैचुएस्क
I
है ना वो इसमें भी है काफी.
I think that is what is bothering me, because I think
हाँ.
filmmaking style is just seeping into. I think it's seeped into Gangubai also a fair bit. I
Yeah,
would say.
pretty much, yeah.
Um, which let's we'll go there for sure. But my point is, I think it needed to. I think when the platform and the medium is so much for you, for the characters, and somewhere where you can revel, it is just sad for me because there is no attempt. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, you can play at the fact because it is a little stagey, it has that kind of thing. But even
Mhm.
stagey dramas, films have that kind of nuance where you can see the actor or the performer is doing something with the character, which I
Yes.
think doesn't come through in any way possible, except when someone like a stalwart like a Manisha Koirala, or
फरीदा
surprisingly an
जलाल.
effortless one, Farida Jalal, so
Farida
effortless.
Jalal, oh yeah. Farida Jalal is
Sonakshi
effortless.
Sinha is
I
Yeah.
effortless, uh,
yeah,
Yeah.
and even Richa Chadda, who I thought was
yeah,
like just there was elegance also in their performance,
yeah.
and
नहीं,
they are doing so much with the character by just in that one shot itself. There is so much to show for,
yeah.
but
नहीं,
I
but
think
Yeah.
it
but
doesn't happen with
And like
because there is
and like
a
Varun is
plethora
saying
of
also.
characters.
Yeah, like Varun is
Huh.
saying also, like the Crown itself, like Netflix's Crown, that is their trademark, that is their trademark property, right? So the
yeah.
Crown itself is beyond anything. At least the earlier seasons is it followed the TV lineup because again, Peter Morgan is a writer who has worked on films, who worked in theater, who has worked somewhat in television
Hey,
also.
Peter Morgan or Chris Morgan.
Peter Morgan, Chris Morgan, Fast and Furious का writer.
Peter Morgan is the guy who wrote Rush, is it? By
Yes,
Ron Howard.
yes,
I
yes,
think
yes,
so.
yes.
Huh. Okay, huh.
Chris Morgan, Fast and Furious का
No,
writer.
no, I confused, but I got confused. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
No, so
again,
no, but I think one of the things I wanted to mention was I mean, you mentioned the whole performance angle, right? In some ways, but like if your script is weak, and I mentioned this to Sanjay that Sanjay Leela Bhansali is making five-star like settings, but serving you fast food. But the fast food can become a meal if your actors sort of elevate some of the holes that
Like
are
you had
there
someone like
there.
Dankorba and like Ram Leela performed
Yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
Supriya Pat. You
Yeah,
can
I
see
mean,
she's making a meal out of that character, or
in this, I think
even
like hmm. I
even
think in
Farida
this
Jalal
like
part in Bajirao also by I
yeah,
think Tanvi Azmi. She's also
yes,
doing a lot with the character, which
yeah,
is not so well,
yeah,
fleshed out in the sense there
yeah,
is an arc to her performance, or what she's doing to Bajirao and affecting
yeah.
Mastani and his wife. I
No,
forgot
but
Priyanka
I
Chopra's
just
character.
thought something
But yeah,
like when you're talking about a weak romance and you have actually had you give sufficient time actually to build it up. It just that doesn't catch fire also, right? So it's अरे क्या सर ठीक है, गलती हो गई, नहीं करूँगा ये, ठीक है.
He's abusing himself, not you.
हाँ. नहीं, but I feel like you have a Farida Jalal. Like I remember this moment in, I think the first time Alam goes to uh,
Heeramandi.
Tajdar's residence, essentially, or mansion, whatever it
Heeramandi,
is, and it's basically that she and Farida Jalal's character develop a very strong bond, like a friendship and everything, right? And the series absolutely jettisons, like there's nothing, they don't show it developing at all. But you have a Farida Jalal there who almost, carries that missing arc, because
herself.
the affection if she displays
Correct.
towards her in the other moments is enough to sell those moments. In the romance, neither of the leads, I mean, I think Tahasha is reasonable, and I think he also does a pretty good job in his big scene, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
Sharmeen Sehgal isn't good, I think, almost throughout, and I think it's simply a matter of,
I think
and whatever criticisms have
See,
been
my
made,
my problem is okay. We are not talking about the name.
yeah,
My problem is ki, remember how Alamzeeb is introduced. Like camera pans down, she's making up her, rosewater.
she
Mein
has
her hair is
she has the
pure.
Zara intro of
Zara
Yeah.
introduction. I was
Veer
thinking the
Zara,
same.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. She turns and then the camera focuses on her face and everything. It's like she's given such an important intro, right? And
yeah,
again, I think this comparison is so apt. I am almost, I don't want to mention this comparison, but I have to. She is Sofia Coppola, basically, in Godfather 3.
yeah,
She is. I hate to break it to
yeah,
everybody,
But
and I'm
Sofia
so
Coppola
sorry.
is much more than an actor, also, or what Godfather 3 stood for her in her career, right? In general.
Yeah, and so Charmin
yeah. So
Sehgal,
here's wishing that that Sharmeen Sehgal is a great Sofia Coppola like character.
Director.
Yeah,
No, I also think, look, we are not bullying or doing anything about it.
yeah.
If Charmin Sehgal in her next performance might be even better than what this performance was given to her. Maybe she doesn't work in this space.
No,
Maybe she doesn't.
you know
Maybe.
what I was thinking, that there were times in the show where I was like, does she actually not get the language only? Language as in, like, when people are
Entirely
speaking,
possible.
and without subtitles, I would also not get the language totally.
I
Like
was
the way
exhausted.
people speak, I was like,
I
does she
switched on to
not?
the Hindi
Huh. I was like,
subtitles just to understand what words they're using.
does she genuinely on set not understand what people
Not
are saying
understand.
to each other, and the enormity of it? Because her face in the whole show is that really, the
I'm
inexpressive,
trying to process it.
non-acting, whatever you want to say, Bressonian. I was like, Bresson की acting यहाँ कैसे आ गई? वो तो अपनी पिक्चरों में करवाता है ऐसी है ताकि people look like models, but this is not actually just restricted to her. He's done this with Deepika Padukone and Padmavat also. So it might just be a Bhansali take
No,
in
no.
some senses.
I think I think you hit the nail in the head, because it's like what happens when your brain is actually processing some extremely complex information and trying to parse it through. Your brain goes into full on beach face mode kind of, or in an expressionless mode kind of a scene.
Yeah.
It kind of feels that Hindustani language in her brain is being translated into normal Hindi, which is then being processed.
Or not Hindi,
Or
English.
English. Or
English.
English. So my point being that this is again, and I hate to bring both of your favorite filmmaker up. I think this is also an Imtiaz Ali problem, which is
Oh,
that
I thought so, but never mind.
Imtiaz Ali dialogues cannot be said by everybody else, cannot be
Yes.
measured or
We've discussed this,
spouted out
multiple
Yes.
times.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
spouted
Like
out
we've
by
seen
everybody.
examples in
Yeah.
general which
I
have not
mean,
worked and which have
Major
worked.
examples.
Yeah.
Yes, we have seen major
Objectively.
Yeah.
object.
But I feel. But I mean, you can. I think someone like I think Devulina was giving suggestions of actors. Honestly, it's very
Anybody.
hard for me to think, no, like not anyone who's a trained actor can.
Pratibha Ranta, who played.
I to think actually the actress who plays Saima, I'm sorry I haven't noted down the name. She's really really good, and she again has. There's one episode in which Alam's character does something for Saima, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, wait, when did this friendship develop to that level? Like for me, it was like, but इनकी दोस्ती इतनी थोड़ी ना है that she will do this action for her house help. I was like,
No, but इनकी
उसका
दोस्ती
dedication I understand.
इनका दोस्ती तो इतना ही है ना, because apparently
Shruti Sharma.
she's his confidant. She's her confidant. But then again, that is confusing because her
Confidant तो
elder
अदिति
sister
राव
was
हैदरी के साथ
confidant.
भी है.
Exactly. So that is
हाँ
confusing. Like confidant का level
हाँ.
कितना है? You don't know ना.
So, no, in that sense, I was like, if Aditi Rao Hydari did that for her, I would buy it. You know, as a return favor or whatever. Like, if those two did the
Because they live together
favor
also,
for each
no?
other, I don't know. I just didn't buy it because I think the relationship is not so like again it's the Farida Jalal example. Like it's being
Okay.
given to the Saima character to almost sell it, and she does almost sell it from her angle. But दूसरे side से नहीं आता वो. You know,
No
it's
reciprocation,
that.
correct.
So I think that's a bit of a issue in general. I feel with a lot of the relationships that she has to traffic through. I mean, also, I think you can have her perform robotically or blank faced for half when she's in Heeramandi. It actually might suit it because she feels out of place,
Trapped.
whatever, etc.
Exactly. Yes,
She
yes.
doesn't. There is no expression that suggests trapped there. But yes,
Also,
but
Or
can I
even a
bring up?
thought that would indicate
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, because I think Ebulina brings up another aspect of the show, which is the
No.
maids. So the
Yes.
maids,
And
uh,
Iqbal. Yes.
Satto, Fatto, and Iqbal, all three
Yes.
basically, and
All
what
seasoned
they
performers, huh? They've been
all
there
season performance. Yeah,
in
yeah.
the film show scene
सर
for a
सीजन
while
है तो
now.
इसका क्या मतलब उनको ऐसे डिस्कार्ड कर देंगे.
No, seasoned
नहीं
in the
बात
sense
सुनो
they've been there as performers in various mediums in Indian television or
Yeah, yeah,
films
बात
or
yeah.
सुनो
something.
बात सुनो. I think Satto Fatto basically is they are playing the role of what we call Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Who are Rosencrantz and
Can
Guildenstern?
you
You may
repeat it?
ask.
Can you repeat the
They are
terminology?
playing
अरे
the
it's
role of
it's the
Rosencrantz and
comic
Guildenstern.
sidekicks almost, right, in some ways.
Who are Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, may we ask?
Yeah, yeah.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are friends of Hamlet in Shakespeare who are ironic, who are arbiters
Yes.
of irony.
I was about to
Because
say that
I
think
got it. I
about
got it.
you're saying Hamlet. I was about to say think Heather and the two Salman
Heather,
twins. Yes, I was like yeah,
exactly.
Salman
So
and
you get
Salman.
the
yeah,
point.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
get the point because these mates basically they are representing both the how do I put this? It's like the upper and lower. What is that called in Downton Abbey and everything? Varun would know what I'm talking
हाँ
about. Upstairs,
वरुण help
downstairs
करो.
dynamic. Upstairs,
हाँ.
downstairs dynamic.
Okay,
The
okay.
upstairs, downstairs dynamic of it all. But because they're Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, they also have a very strong sense of loyalty
Yes,
towards their employer. But they
yes.
are willing to sabotage her for
Oh,
their own personal gains.
there's one or
Yeah.
two really background में it's the acting shows or shows through almost because I think it's Fatto's character who's in the background of Manisha Koirala essentially reacting,
Yes, yes, yes.
not giving a single reaction to her saying कि इकबाल को आप निकाल
Yes.
दीजिए कहीं जेल से and she just gives this.
She just gives
how
that face and
how
like
the hell can you be so cruel? Look at
yes.
her, like the Fatto gives it to Manisha Koirala, and of course Koirala is good at avoiding all this and like dodging all this, right? So,
There was also
but yeah,
that
you
bit
get
where
that sense.
when Sonakshi Sinha's character Faridan moves into the house, the other house, she's like,
Yes,
you should check in on your neighbors and all that. It's a very sly
yes,
comment because you
yeah,
know what
Yes.
is about to come, but you get to know
Yeah.
about the character also much more that
yeah,
what
yeah,
is this character up to, like Sattu Pattu,
yeah,
whoever saying
yeah.
that dialogue.
Yeah.
No, but
So again,
Interesting.
both.
it's very interesting, but and that's what they represent. They represent the upstairs and downstairs dynamic, which is why when the show starts, all those parts were very much in focus,
This
right?
becomes
Yes,
But
it's
then
the
suddenly,
hierarchies within the hierarchies also, I think, which is the
yeah, but
big
then
thing
correct.
suddenly,
about the show. Yeah, in the
exactly, but
beginning.
then suddenly Bhansali suddenly thought कि मैं खामोशी mode में जाता हूँ. So it's like he went into खामोशी mode, and then they go into the हम दिल दे चुके सनम mode, which is romance. Oh my God, the romance. Oh my God, the blah blah blah. So you are going there, and that is the most, how do I put this, unbelievable part of it all because the chemistry. I never could buy their chemistry, the
No,
romance of
you don't buy
it.
it. I feel
Yeah, I
it's very
never could.
hard to buy it. Yeah.
I never could buy their chemistry, and also the fact that after a point, the Hindustani dialogues and everything else, after a point, they start to become so laborious. It's like every time, even in
Hmm.
mass movies, characters are given moments to breathe, right? To feel vulnerable for a second. हर second पे अगर कोई mass dialogue डालता है तो problem हो जाएगा ना.
I understand what you mean. See, but for me, honestly, and this might be because also one of the reasons why. Do you mean that in Heeramandi the show, or just
Actually, Heeramandi.
It's
बोलो संजीत बोलो.
their share was
no, no,
so
no. I
basic
forgot
that I
my
was like,
thought
how
now.
the fuck is your romantic tagline? They have that recurring poetry she's written, right?
I have.
Which
I was going to talk about Kalank, which is another bastardized Bhansali film.
Oh yeah.
And I remember watching it in theater, like after knowing it had bombed and
yeah,
whatnot,
yeah,
the
yeah.
reviews had worked. So I had gone on some weekday when like the tickets were a little cheaper in Bangalore,
Yeah.
and I got exhausted watching that film. And
Yes.
the general problem here I mean by Heeramandi and Gangubai. This is again a very personal choice. Some things which I don't just generally like. In that sense, when you are dealing with a very real subject matter or a real life instance,
Exactly.
but when you put in your aesthetics to that, to me, if it's not working from the get go, it is not working at all. Like if it's not
Yes.
working from the first point onwards, something like that in Kalank, where you're talking about partition and all that, and you're talking these big sets like boat rides from in that
It doesn't work.
the wife Khana with in that Madhuri Dixit place and all that. I was like, this doesn't work for me at all because I cannot get into this world. Like there are
It's
these
like if the poor
galiya
and the
and
if
those
the poor
places
and
where
the rich
Varun Dhawan
would
and
get
Alia
multiple of
stand
the clothes
and
difference का है. The
So
poor
and
and
they're
rich are
talking
both
to each other
equal.
and I'm like, why are you talking like this? Just get done with things. Like to me it felt
Yeah.
tiring. And there is a certain feeling like that here as well. There is definitely a certain feeling like that here as well. And it happened in Gangubai's second half, where it
second half
went
of
to
that
that,
movie is a total
empowering and all that.
like
I was like,
that's
no, it doesn't work.
the second half of Gangubai is actually the last episode of this. Let's just say that
Exactly.
in some
Yes.
ways.
Yes.
So it's the same thing, same problem then.
Uh,
My other thing is it's not just
Basically,
that
it's
this is
basically
happening
the
with
Lynch the
SLB
King guy.
aesthetics.
It's basically Lynch
SLB
dude.
aesthetics. I'm saying this could very well be an issue when Siddharth Anand is doing fighter also for me. So I'm just trying to explain it that way. That is also
sure.
an
That's
issue. And this is also
So
a
I'll
yeah, yeah.
personal
no,
bias
but I'll be
toward this
honest.
film.
I enjoyed the dialogue Bazi almost throughout, and I was actually waiting for it to come again and again when Malika Jan and Faridan were together at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
again. So
Yeah.
when they are there or when they are doing their bits, it does
Yeah.
feel like uh, when Malika Jan says "log ladka razat hote aur tawaf mar." Now that dialogue is could be the cringiest dialogue ever written, but
Yes.
the performance and
Yes.
when the camera is doing its own thing in that
Yeah.
particular set in that framing, it works beautifully.
So I
But
have
when you
like
give it to someone else, it just goes like I
yes.
didn't even think. I'm not paying attention to you.
I think
You get
episode
it?
3 mein there's this conversation between Aditi Rao Hydari and Sonakshi Sinha about when they meet at the first time at the party when they're both Fardeen Khan is in the middle essentially. He's supposed to be the one both of them are fighting for. Imagine
Correct.
that. But
All due
no,
respect.
but I like how in that sequence you have this thing where she asks Aditi Rao Hydari
She
asks
just
Sonakshi
barges
Sinha
in, huh? By the
ये
way.
ये ये
Yeah,
ये
yeah.
ये चो आप हमारे आदमी को चोराना चाहती हैं और समथिंग लाइक दैट एंड शी इज लाइक ये चोरी नहीं है डाका है डाका लाइक आई मीन all that stuff I mean the way she says it at least in the show is like so
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like she's having
Which
fun.
version of her?
Fun.
Which
That's
version
the
of her
thing.
which version of her she's reminding me of Sonakshi Dabang.
Like
Dabang.
she's having fun here. I was like,
Abhinav
she's like,
Kashyap's Dabang.
she knows the dialogue is like ripe and she's like totally leaning into it. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
This is a
do
very
it.
weird
Yeah.
commercial space she's very good in.
I
This
mean,
is one of the
her,
weird spaces she's
and
very good
in, I forgot, what's the, Indresh Malik, I think,
in. Indresh Malik, yes.
who plays Ustad Ji. They have a
Ustad.
great moment even in that scene where they make a inappropriate joke essentially where it's about
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So
When she's just
they
lying
have
down.
a
Yeah, it's a great scene though.
they
Yeah.
have a funny dynamic. I'm just like, that's the life to the film, to the series. I'm like, you need all that, like,
Yeah.
to
I mean,
enliven
Bhansali
your show.
gets to do those moments with certain characters. I think
Hmm.
Padmavat mein to he went fully indulgent with
Fully into
KG.
indulging into
So I
KG.
think this slightly
Yeah. So
playful nature, na, that's what I like about Ram Leela, or at least that is there in Ram
correct.
Leela at
It's a
the
little wacky
first
in
half.
that sense. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay, so now since we had talked about the performances, can we talk about couple of things which is important here? Number one is the theme of it all, because if this show is about elevating the importance of the Tawairs,
Yes.
in the overall independence movement as well as the overall hierarchy, I have to say his treatment of these characters is very much antithetical to that, because at the end
Okay.
of the day you are showing all these women characters as being unjustly marred, then exploited, then I
Huh.
think a term best used is victimization, because it's like
Sorry for interrupting. Where has Aditi Rao Hedri worked with SLB?
Bhansali, she's in Bajirao
she's a Bajirao.
I
and in Padmavat.
completely.
No,
She's
she's
In
definitely
definitely
in
Padma?
Padmavat, and I think she's the best part of Padmavat. That for me it was at least. Oh, I don't like that movie.
What is she playing in
Uh,
Padmavat?
वो उसके
I can't recall at all.
उसकी वाइफ है आई थिंक और उसकी वन ऑफ द वुमेन
Like Khilji's wife.
दैट रणवीर सिंह हैज
She's
या
not in Bajirao.
that's
ओके
Just
what.
देन
Padmavat.
पद्मावत
Achha, okay,
Good.
so my point
Khilji's
is
wife.
my
Sorry.
point is all of the women in this show at least, they are all like half of the time so they are mistreated kind of. It's like take Manisha Koira, Malika Jan's character, what happens to her in the police station in episode 7.
yes
Take that
that's
for it. For
episode 9 I think
episode
9
7
10
or 9.
sorry 9 I'm saying what am I saying episode
8
There are
7
8
episodes है और
episodes.
दो मत बढ़ाओ पागल हो क्या episode 7.
Didn't this happen in some other show
wow
discussion also?
Yeah,
yes
yeah,
yes
yeah,
yes
yeah. I
yeah,
think so.
yeah.
Yeah. So again,
Ah.
it's like episode 7 पे what is happening with her character,
Hmm.
what happens to her character, that is almost, I don't know, that felt almost demeaning. It's not demeaning because of the event that happened. It's demeaning because of what was leading up to the event. The fact that she has to dance for them, the fact that the Britisher is
Do you
saying
think they
तुम
shouldn't have
nautch
shown
girl
it?
है, तुम nautch girl है, nacho, and all that
Okay,
nonsense. And
I
like,
don't know, I didn't mind that, like I just thought it
no,
was
no, I'm not asking. I'm not talking about the fact of whether they should have shown it or not. I'm talking about the fact that the conception ही गलत है. If
as
you're
in
going to if you're going to show these characters as integral to the independence movement, or if you're going to show these characters as indubitably stronger than men, because that's what these are like. They are stronger than men.
but
This is
she
why
is stronger than them, no?
all the male see, this is
Conceptually,
why
it makes sense
no,
because
I
he's
thought
taking someone like a wife and making her a freedom fighter. So it's like
yeah.
yes,
elevation
There's
to
the
a
dialogue in
certain
the
level.
last Mujre wali se mulk wali.
अच्छा,
That is the
so
essential
वो तो I didn't reach till
transformation.
then.
yeah.
Mujre
So
wali se mulk
तब
wali is that
हाँ तब
yes.
तो कॉन्सेप्शन गया भाग में, तब सबको बोलो कि
तब
क्या हो
सब
रहा
कुछ
है.
ठोक दो
डालो
तब
मुझे.
it's like ये
और
freedom
फेंको.
independence की freedom and like all this freedom independence इसके चक्कर में narrative का भी freedom independence कर देते हैं ये लोग essentially सब कुछ
Exactly.
फेंक दिया बाहर
सब कुछ
हाँ
फेंक दे. And my issue is कि if you are going to show these people as indubitably greater than men, do we have to show the violence inflicted on them by the men all the time? That is my bigger
but that is
question.
the reality they live in, no?
Yeah,
Somewhat. But then again, it's like all the violence
But
that is
I don't think
inflicted on them
the
is
show
done.
ever. I don't think the show or the characters ever ask for overt sympathy in that way, except the Faridan moment where I was like, when
I'm a little
she.
confused. Sorry.
Sorry.
बोलो.
Amartya, are you saying that violence should have been much more consistent towards these women so that the uprising would have felt much more heroic? I'm genuinely
No, I
confused.
think opposite.
No, I think the
Acha, okay.
opposite.
Huh.
Okay, sorry. I
All the
misheard
violence.
everything.
I think all the violence of it all, especially the sexual itself and everything, all of the violence that is being shown, I think those, firstly, they come out of nowhere. See, here's the problem. Okay, all of the bodily stuff that is being shown, firstly the sex, chaste as hell, कुछ दिखाया नहीं.
Yeah.
लेकिन
हाँ,
लेकिन
yeah.
लेकिन you are implying कि बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is a show about courtesans, and you are in Netflix. Come on. कुछ
But
तो
नहीं
करो.
है यार उसका, but he will
Okay,
operate in that slightly
okay,
suggestive mode, तो ठीक है, I didn't mind that.
okay, if your sensibility is not that, okay, if your sensibility is not that, then violence, why you're dealing with so massively, like how, spoiler alert, how Tahasha's character dies, that is horrific,
Yes, I think it's
and he
shot pretty well
doesn't
also.
protect.
I have not reached that bit.
Yeah, he shot
He
very well,
shoots the
but
jail really well. You'll have one of
a
those.
tad bit too well, क्योंकि पुलिस का जेल उतना expensive नहीं होता
Yes.
वो भी वो.
Again, I
But
was in
we
the
won't see it
Bhansali
like
wala.
grimy,
Yes, yes.
grimy violence. तो मिलेगा
It
नहीं
was
Bhansali
very
में.
aesthetically pleasing though. Huh?
कभी देखा नहीं होगा.
I mean, he
I mean,
doesn't
even
show
in the
the
first
jail to be
episode,
honest.
yaar, like the whole riot scene also is like very aesthetically pleasing only.
Uh,
But like filmed
I,
well.
I,
So
I
it's
I want
not
to
like
get
"Hey,
sorry
Watan Mere Watan"
before we
stage
move
play.
on. I want I want to get to Chris Patrick's this thing. Because I don't think I agree with you on that. At least honestly, the Tawai story and the independent stories have nothing to do with each other, minus Aditi. But I feel the core thematic in both of them is about freedom. Na? The thematics of both of them is about freedom from
Macro, micro.
certain situations. What the series film, whatever, is unsuccessful at getting at is that transformation from mujre wali to mulk wali. I get that.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
only transformation that you can buy in that is Aditi Rao Hydari's, because her character is defined by that.
Exactly.
The moment when Malika Jan turns, I was like, why? Why have you turned? You're the most stubborn person I've seen on this show. Why will
दूसरे
you
वाली पे
turn?
मुल्क वाली आप कैसे बन गई मोहतरमा? समझ में नहीं आ रहा है यार.
Even Faridan's is also, I'm like, she has this dialogue about mulk, and I was like, but वतन कहाँ से आ गया? आप तो उसको मारने वाली थी for
Yeah.
your, and her objection at her getting, I was like,
And even if this is a greater good type of a situation, greater good का question कहाँ से आता है इन लोगों को? These people are opportunists. If the Britishers go away, there will be
No,
upper
but
class
even-
Indians. Why
I
are
don't
you
know,
so worried about all this?
and I'm sorry, Sanjay, you're spoiling it, but there is, but the
No,
thematic does
it's-
not.
What spoiler? Do you think I can? No,
You
I
won't
do, I
watch
do.
the last four episodes.
No, no, I
will you?
will, I will, I will. No, 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 I don't want to leave it halfway.
But the thematic does not connect narratively. But I think they do a bad job of doing the
They do a bad
connection.
job of connect. They do
I
a
think
bad job of
I
setting
either
up
don't think you need to connect. You can do the foregrounding, the whole हीरा मंडी पे रखो ना कैमरा, like वहीं पे रखो और मत जाओ बाहर उतना. बाहर का you do
the
through
cavalcade
your
thing. The cavalcade thing, which basically cavalcade and all the
या बट
other
वो उसमें
old-
फिर आप
old-
दिखा नहीं सकते कि दूसरे महल हैं और दूसरे वो हैं, सो उसमें सारा वो चले जाएगा, you know, so it's that.
अरे that is my bigger question ना. अगर भंसाली suddenly decides to transform into श्रीजीत मुखर्जी, वो तो एक बहुत massive problem है. वो तो massive problem है. आप suddenly गंगूबाई से बेगम जान बन चुके हो. वो क्या रहा है
Yeah,
भाई? थोड़ा
This is
change
the
करो.
No,
Batman
but,
versus
but no,
Superman thing.
absolutely. Chris Patrick is totally like, there is this sequence where, as Amartya was mentioning in episode 7, I think, where Manisha Koyala has something really horrible done to her by Cartwright, the English officer, because why? I forgot.
Because her daughter was in
Her daughter's in the jail and she wants to take her out, and he's like,
romance subplot है कि हम भूल ही गए क्या हुआ.
भूल ही गए, हाँ. Anyways, no, and then it's like Cartwright goes to Faridan and he's like, I took the badla or whatever it is by, we essentially gang raped her. Essentially, that's the whole
Yes.
implication, which is not shown. But it is a very heavily implied, of course.
More or less shown और कितना दिखा.
हाँ, anyways, but the idea at that point is, and then Faridan becomes emotional and she's like, आपको
Honor,
औरत का ईमान, मैंने उनका घमंड तोड़ने के लिए कहा था, ईमान नहीं.
मन तोड़ने के लिए कहा मान
You
नहीं है.
wanted to kill her.
I'm like, wait,
What are
this
you
context-
saying?
In this context, how is that different? In this context, how is that different?
Also, how is Malika Jan actually not doing the same thing to Saima? I'm like, there is that shade also. वो तो अच्छी खासी तरह शो ही भूल गया. I'm like, but it's a good thing that you have this complicated dynamic, no?
Wait, hold on, yes.
True रिश्तों के भी रूप बदलते हैं.
Oh God, Varun.
He has hired writers.
कितने
आपको नहीं हायर करना चाहता ना वो, क्योंकि सर आप उसको अपनी नौकरी से निकलवा दोगे.
Exactly, no, that is.
She doesn't
exactly.
die.
That's my point.
She doesn't die.
he doesn't die, but still honored intact. I'm like,
नहीं,
this
but see,
is
I'm not going to be the moral policing वाला angle मैं नहीं चिपकाऊंगा
अरे
on
मैं moral policing नहीं कर रहा
नहीं
हूँ.
नहीं, I know वरुण चिपका रहा है, इसीलिए बोल रहा था मैं.
And also the bigger problem, since we are talking about,
वरुण ये भी चिपका रहा है by the way.
also the questionable stuff of it. I'm like, वो hierarchy तो अजीब है.
क्या
It's like,
बोलूं इसको मैं यार.
it's like I'm going to spell the. There is a dialogue I distinctly remember this कि हम तवायफ dash नहीं है, which basically means हम तवायफ prostitutes नहीं है, blah blah. And I'm like,
अरे you can talk about it. That's the show में there's three terminologies. There's
हम
Begum, Tawayef,
prostitutes
and
नहीं
Randi. That's the
है,
three.
हम तवायफ रंडी नहीं है. I'm like, wait.
There is a
I'm
distinction.
confused. I'm confused because if your entire working philosophy is that, and historically speaking, Tawayefs had a much more complicated role than just being sex workers or courtesans. They had a bigger role. So my question to Mr. Bhansali and his team of writers, which he has hired, presumably by utilizing a lot of money, if you are going to explain to us what a Tawayef is, explain it to us better, because the Tawayef occupies the same role as the Japanese geisha did in the shogun. Geisha did in the shogun, more or less. So how about you explain that to me before giving me a nonsensical hierarchy out of nowhere? If I have to look
I didn't have a pro. I think they explained it. Like, to me at least, I was like, I knew what distinction they were making. I was fine with. It's the same. Like, there's the whole terminology thing with even the Apa, Huzur, and Ammi. Like, it's Ammi, Apa, and Huzur. Like, it's a power hierarchy created to sustain it in some ways. Like Huzur bulane se, you have that power.
Understand. But again, if this is sustaining an older power hierarchy, this is just me. I need to understand what the older power hierarchy was so that I can understand why you are trying to sustain it. Because if this is a respect issue in which you are distinguishing what is essentially your job as well as the job of the one which is below you, you need to sell that to me better.
Fair enough. I think that's a fair enough complaint. Yeah. No, it's fair enough. I mean, it's also ये मुल्क ना बीच में आ जाता है essentially is the problem in the end.
What do you think? खत्म कर लो. नहीं खत्म कर लो. मेरा बहुत अलग question ही था.
Because you're not selling it to me, I can't buy the entire concept of the world itself, which is why मेरा disconnect बहुत early हो गया.
Fair enough.
Get my point? It's like by episode.
It took time for me to get totally disengaged. Let me be honest. I was not totally disengaged ever. I thought the show was fairly engaging, which is why I like it more than you guys, presumably. So I don't think I was disengaged, but I was a bit exasperated by the last episode because I was like, this is a lot of stuff which you're just throwing into the kitchen sink out of nowhere. I'm just like, you can't wrap it. उसमें करीब छह बड़े plot. I'm like, उन छह को आप 6 episodes में बना सकते हो essentially. उतनी बड़ी चीजें आती हैं जो हो जाती हैं.
वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ ना, राइटिंग का स्ट्रक्चर में
नहीं वो लास्ट तो बोलो आप क्या बोल रहे थे, क्वेश्चन क्या पूछ रहे थे? हाँ तो पिंक भी पहन के आया हूँ, मैं भूल गया, सॉरी. हाँ
in support ना. I was my question was, what do you think of the same faces that were repeated in the, like Sonakshi Sinha's face, mother and daughter?
It's okay. melodramatic, whatever.
मेलोड्रामा का कॉन्सेप्ट ही है, बाप का बदला.
नहीं बस इनके faces ही क्यों same थे? Why aren't the other, others का faces having any resemblance?
अच्छा, as in you think that the Malika Jan का भी Manisha Koirala should have played both?
हाँ, or anyone else also irrespective. I don't know. आगे 4 episode क्या follow.
Does
that Suman wala never worked.
That is also another reveal which I think falls totally flat. Like उसके लिए you don't have moments
because
to build up.
That moment build up. चलो ठीक है. No, I think that moment I will still buy, honestly.
I didn't buy it.
I just think Adyan Suman doesn't have the conviction to.
क्यों? I thought he played the asshole well. Asshole ही तो था.
Asshole.
Sir.
But when he's like, khamosh and all that shit, you need to have that. Something, some gravitas.
खामोश तो सोनाक्षी सिन्हा को बोलना चाहिए था.
Yes.
Sanjita Sheikh's character also has like these really weird character
Sangeeta Sheikh's
swings.
character, what I understood is Sangeeta Sheikh's character is basically like the quote unquote unpredictable wild card, which I understand if she is going to be an
I do
unpredictable.
like no she's a I like how Manisha Koirala basically says कि she says कि कोई आप कोई भी decision लेती हैं I mean decision नहीं बोलती of course वो आप कोई
बहुत easy हो गया, तो decision बहुत easy हो गया.
I mean I didn't see again I don't have a like ठीक है
easier way for
उसका
any
Very
computer
proudly
company
said that
to
one
make
day.
Varun buy a new laptop. वरुण कभी लैपटॉप लेके किसी क्रोमा रोमो में चले जाना, तेरे को वही सीन दिखाएंगे.
नहीं
लाओ नया
but
लैपटॉप दो.
I mean, it's fine. I just don't think it's. But yeah, the Sanjeeva Sheikh character is just reckless. Like I mean, reckless in a unsatisfying sort of
I
way.
think it's
No,
good.
no, but I think
So
I
far.
like the whole key that she basically is the pawn who gets damaged every time someone else makes a move because that's
हाँ,
what
तो it's-
he says. She says
She
also
says.
Manisha Koirala,
Yeah.
right, at one point.
प्यादे,
So I think she
whatever.
works as that, but there are moments in later where I'm just like ये अपनी बेटी के साथ कैसे हो गई 2 सेकंड में I'm just like क्या like क्यों like there is that क्या
there
and क्यों
needs to be
thing.
some rhyme and reason arriving to a certain point, which was basically the missing part. But you still, I think, I buy a lot of drama in general.
Again,
अभी
no,
तक,
no.
नहीं नहीं मैं भी
so far.
मैं listen I also bought a lot huh?
It's like, again,
Like
it's
I was nicely lapping up to जैसे peep in the background in that Adyan Suman marriage scene. Someone in the background is saying ना, आज तो सारी अय्याशियाँ खत्म.
yes.
I was like हाँ सही है मैं मान.
ऐसा ही है, मेरे पास होती है.
Fair enough. I think this is a fair assessment of that character.
No, it's
only,
like
right?
it's like see, if you want a wild card, you can't writing wild cards is always difficult because as human beings we are rational. Writing irrationality is always very difficult. Okay, but here the irrationality नहीं है. Here with
Plot
irrationality
convenience.
you're also making us stupid.
She is.
You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Correct.
You can't have it both ways. Either she's unpredictable, like she's some destructive force who completely destroys Heeramandi.
I think that would have been much
ये
more
tragedy
fruitful
थी
for the
sir
plot.
पूरी ये तो पूरी tragedy थी. You've made it into that Azadi story which is unfortunate but whatever.
Wow.
Interesting.
Interesting.
My comparison was much better than I said she's a cross between Alaya F and Shriya Pilgaonkar but okay.
Sir, वो second.
When did you say that?
On the chat. You probably were sleeping then.
No,
Possible.
but
Anyways,
but finally we have to talk about the final episode, which is just like Jesus.
I mean we have no.
हाँ, you guys
क्यों
talk.
बेकार
I'm
में?
listening.
I'm sorry, Sanjit, if you shouldn't have come to a spoiler discussion.
No, ठीक है.
it's
I
fine.
also knew most
Genuinely
of the
don't.
things. It doesn't matter.
अरे मैं
इसके लिए तो it doesn't matter
I'll-
only.
Yes.
Shahi
he goes
Mel
from
to
Shahi
ख्वाबगा
ख्वाबगा-
bitching and moaning and wasting.
Yes. And every
Who's
time
this?
both-
अच्छा,
Isn't
both
Sanjita
and,
Sheikh's character in the first scene only? She's like, na, check कर लो कपड़े and all. Then she's like, I
हाँ,
haven't
yes.
stole.
the deceiver
I
or
didn't
whatever
steal
you
your
would have said.
money
The
and whatnot.
devious,
And then
the
later
devious.
she has that. I was like, full background में कमोले का बजा दो. Shouldn't be seen all this. नहीं
full
यार
कसौटी
इतना खराब नहीं था.
जिंदगी भाई, yes, full कसौटी जिंदगी
No,
की
no,
भाई,
no.
yes.
नहीं यार अच्छा है show.
I
Decent है,
don't
देखो,
mind
देखो.
I honestly don't mind soapiness to all this stuff. I would have appreciated more soapiness.
I would also not discourage people from watching it. You should watch it at your own convenience. And if you don't
No.
mind the first 2-3 episodes, then continue. Otherwise, don't. Simple. That's what I
वही,
would say.
मेरा
Which
question-
is what I said for Killer Soup also. If you don't like the first 2-3 episodes, don't watch the show. You
Killer
remember we
Soup तो
spoke
छोड़ो,
about it.
We
Killer Soup
have
तो
also
छोड़ो.
recorded an episode on Killer Soup.
Yes.
It's
Killer
on
Soup,
Spotify
yes.
where Amartya
Please
and
go
me
listen
shout
to
a lot.
that.
Yes, Killer Soup to छोड़ो. I think my bigger comparison with that is Bardo. Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu. 2 hour and
Bardo
40
here?
minutes. 2 hour and 40 minutes of masturbatory tone deaf nonsense. But
39
again,
minutes. 2 hours, 39 minutes. Yeah.
2 hours 39 minutes. Yes, masturbatory tone deaf nonsense. Again, for that I said, if you can handle 20 minutes, continue क्योंकि उससे ज़्यादा कुछ होता नहीं है. वही same चीज repeat होता है.
I can't believe you're bringing
Shout out to the
Bardo
episode
when
in which we
discussing
talk about
Heeramandi.
Gangu. Yes.
तो शुरू yes.
Shout out to
हाँ
the
हाँ
episode.
आप अपना
Biopic
पॉडकास्ट
वाला
का
क्या?
shout out ही करो
हाँ
नया
वो
एपिसोड
आपको वो फॉरवर्ड करना पड़ेगा 3 घंटे वाले मार्क पे सुनने के लिए जिससे
For listeners who are new to this podcast, make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Spotify.
yes.
There's
And I
also a
mean
great podcast with Varun.
we've labeled our review long review, but trust me, we are nothing. The
compared to
वरुण की
Varun's
एपिसोड्स की लेंथ
podcast
है
is
that
longer,
is
and you can listen to it in your
that
own leisurely,
that
time.
could
yeah.
be a
Podcast is called
Sanjay
Picture
Leela
Shuru.
Bhansali show.
It is on Spotify.
Yes.
Please
पिक्चर
enjoy
बहुत
episodes.
पूरी हिंदी पिक्चर की रन टाइम
There's an
essentially.
episode on Shah Rukh Khan, episode on Sriram Raghavan, war
Episode
films,
on
biopics
war.
recently,
वॉर
and
फिल्म्स का जरूर सुनिएगा वो 4
जरूर
घंटे का
and if you
डिस्कशन
want to
है.
listen about
Anyways, हो
us
गया बहुत
talking
publicity,
about
हाँ.
shows on Netflix, we have spoken about Trial by Fire.
हाँ, and Varun is also well behaved there, so yeah, and on his own podcast, because वो उसको host करना पड़ता है.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
हाँ.
उतना भी
तो
वेल
हमारी
बिहेव नहीं.
नहीं बट बकवास सुन लेता है फिर भी बेटर देन हियर.
What is the name of the episode? Varun बोलो.
Biopic bubble. Am I right, Varun? Considering I was in it, I should be right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in there in spirit.
There's also a
Let's just
Gangubai
say
episode
that.
which we all recorded with Nidhi Sahni on.
Sir, हो गया बस इतनी
वो
publicity नहीं कर
Bhansali
रहे.
sorry, yes, yes.
On
There's a
Gangubai,
Bhansali
yeah.
on Gangubai.
Anyways,
That
any
was
other
actually-
We should have brought her in.
yeah, any other thoughts?
Closing thoughts?
Closing
Yeah.
thoughts. Closing thoughts.
I mean, you in the live stream. Does anyone have other comments and questions about
I
the
thought
show,
Sonakshi
which maybe
Sinha
we
was
can
like
answer?
a ghost kind of person. Ghost walking in.
The
Yes.
ghost
Dead
angle
bodies
would be fine. Like I would be down for that.
some guilt and all that. All that I was thinking.
वो सब
But yeah,
डालो
that-
इसमें और soapy बनाओ इसको.
Actually,
No, but the
make
thing
it
is,
as soapy
my
as it can be, no?
Yeah.
My thing is closing thoughts. If you are a Bhansali super fan, this show is for you. Do not try to binge it. I'm not going to say don't stop क्योंकि आप भंसाली के सुपर फैन हो आप
Literally,
इसके
yes.
लायक सो इसलिए देखो लेकिन पेस करके देखो for other people if you can't handle it beyond 15 minutes or an episode my advice is don't watch बहुत
Yeah, I
कुछ
mean,
है।
it's not going to win any, and it's not going to convert like the critiques, the people who critique his work into like
Lovers.
being fond of it. Like it's not a black or whatever, which is like a hatke mode in which he's operating, as opposed to his usual
Guzarish
grandiosity. Guzarish वो तो
If
चली
you
गई,
like
वो भी tank हुई थी.
opulence, grandeur, words like those thrown around, this is that show.
Are these the promotional buzzwords that will
like
that will
those
get us
thrown
more
You know
streams?
that? Everywhere it's that opulence, grandeur.
But hey, I mean, I can't even
grandness.
blame. But I can't blame people for that, no? जब वो सच ही है ना.
extra vegan
History facts, no? What history facts?
history और facts कुछ नहीं
Oh no! Let's
Facts
just
are not
talk
facts,
about the.
as said by another podcast supporter in the form of Vivek Agnihotri. Facts are not facts.
Oh, on that note, can we talk about the controversy where Vivek
What
Agnihotri
controversy?
actually, he highlighted and publicized a tweet by some
What did he say?
doctor, like a Lahori doctor, I think, who wrote how inaccurate and inauthentic Sanjay Leela Bhansali's Heeramandi is. I have the
So
quotes.
basically,
Can I
SLB
can I-
supporting
can I
a
read them out?
Pakistani.
oh my
Yeah,
god
Vivek Agnihotri, sir. SLB तो करता ही है.
हाँ,
Anyways,
that's what I'm saying.
National
We should have gotten Hemant for this.
no, I
At
have a
least
lot.
उसके मुंह पे गाली तो देते, क्या हो रहा है ये?
No. I'll bring these out in terms of the authenticity ka complaints, and we can knock them back or whatever. You can also agree with them. So the inaccuracies, and these are the ones that are listed. Quote: Just watched Heeramandi, found everything but Heeramandi in it. I mean, either you don't set your story in 1940s Lahore, or if you do,
20.
you don't
1920s
set it 20 से 40s कब जाता है उसमें टाइम का थोड़ा फ्लूइडिटी
बहुत
ज़्यादा है.
ऐसा भी होता है क्या?
हाँ,
Yeah,
हाँ,
yeah. Don't.
कोई
let me
पता
not
नहीं
ask
चलता
these
कि
questions.
40s कब आ गया 30s का वो कुछ नहीं है. Doesn't
कुछ नहीं
matter.
है.
You don't set it in Agra's landscape, Delhi's Urdu, Lucknowi dresses and 1840s vibe. my not so sorry Lahori self can't really let it go. She then proceeded to talk about issues with sets, language, dialogue, soundtrack, attires, and other things. To begin with, where exactly is it set? To begin with, where is it exactly set? Lake Como, Amalfi Coast. The most evident landmark still visible from every building in today's remnants of Heeramandi is the Shahi Killa, Grand Mosque's dome and minaret skyline. If you call it Lahore, show Lahore. And then she says basically about the accuracy of the building. So, like, they were multi-story 5 by 10 mala kothis, makans at max, the social financial strata it shows never even existed. I'm just reading out all the
You can, but I massively disagree to just that statement because starting
I
with
also
disclaimer क्या
disagree.
आता है? It is work of
Exactly.
fiction. जब वो disclaimer आ गया है, then it is not real at all.
I
Be
mean,
it
See,
anything
the
the
or
question
whatever
is,
interesting
resemblance to real life तुम्हें नहीं मिलेगी.
see, the
just
question.
an
इतना
interesting note on architecture design, which is a great article on the set design and everything of Heeramandi. Uh, there is literally this thing said by Sanjay Leela Bhansali. Like, they write it first and then he says it. So it's, his interpretation of Heeramandi, of what Heeramandi, the epitome of arts and culture, the place where poetry was a way of life and where classical dances were nurtured, is like it's automatically mentioned by them as his interpretation. And then
His
he was
interpretation.
asked about the whole real and that thing, and he said that it it can never be real as art is not real. That is quote unquote Sanjay Leela Bhansali. He believes in art as evocation. I'm just saying, and I think there's a good,
Vibes
just
only.
I have a question.
yeah.
Very simple question. Art, पहली बात तो art is not real क्या sentence का मतलब क्या है? It's like
By that
it's
he
like
means not constrained by realism. I think he said that.
yeah. Okay,
Or
so
real
second
life
of,
resemblance.
No, I don't.
second of,
I think he means that he's comparing film, and this is from the reading only. He's comparing film to something like music or painting. So his thing is that, as opposed to what people say document. It captures whatever.
Documenting a
Different
piece
school
of
of
history or
thoughts.
whatever.
There's a different
Yeah,
school of
yeah,
thought,
yeah.
and he belongs to that.
my
Is the
point
point.
being now एक बात तो see to
Sorry.
Varun
I
to
don't.
Varun I say this is SLB का show. If you are expecting historical accuracy, watch something else. तब तो that तो number one. Point by point historical accuracy अगर expect कर रहे हो बाहर में जाओ. वो
No,
सब नहीं
but
मिलेगा.
no, but I feel, Amartya, isn't it? I mean, I think there's value to taking something in history which has happened and then adding
No, but the
elements to it that
problem here is,
weren't there. No,
but the
isn't
problem
there
here,
value to that?
no, but the problem here is कि there is something called Bhansali's aestheticism, which is so overwhelming. I think the space in which he's operating in that, okay, like the timeline in which he's operating it needs to be sufficiently removed from our timeline
Yes.
so that we can process it.
Yeah.
Which is why all his ostentatious sets and everything work very well for Bajirao Mastani or
Yeah.
for Padmavat because those are so sufficiently removed
Yeah.
and we have some semblance of reality in the form of those massive castles and those minarets that we can somewhat cogently think कि okay भंसाली के imagination में ये सब हो
So
सकता था
I'll
हो
be honest.
सकता
I very early on was like that's why I sort of in the thumbnail also I
What is English?
mentioned I titled it as SLB's Heeramandi, which I think it is SLB's Heeramandi only. Like, I feel, I don't know, like Varun knows this and we disagree on this very much. This whole idea that, how accurately one needs to be representative of what happened and everything. I just feel, I guess with my thing is, I went into the show, I didn't have questions of, कि ये रियल लाइफ में भी हुआ था, लाइक वो मेरे पास क्वेश्चन नहीं आया. Like that's my personal. I never thought about it. I was basically like, this is a full blown dialogue bazi, masala filled melodrama in a Sanjay Leela Bhansali thing. It takes elements from real life, transplants it. I'm not gonna go digging into the whole. Neither does it say based on a true
There's also
story or
this one
anything
thing.
before. So
There's also this one thing. If the drama is working at the most core level, you will not care about these details at all. If
yeah,
you're
which is
engaged, let's say,
yes.
if
Exactly.
you're engaged, all these details don't matter to you unless you are an aficionado in that sense that you are, you finicky about these details, and then you'll always be finicky with everything that is made in general. Like I feel there are barely films,
नहीं,
maybe if
but
you're unaware about such certain history, then only you'll be like, okay, I enjoyed it because I was not finicky about
नहीं,
whatever
but
details.
see, my
I'm just
my
saying in
point.
general, very general. I'm not
My
saying
point here is also कि if this film is show film
show
whatever is set in Lahore or whatever, why is
SLBs.
it no? But why is it a problem if in its world there are elements of the design which include and incorporate Hindu designs? Like it's not overpowering the Lahori aspects. I feel if his goal is to meld the two, and I think if anything, he is earnest in his, uh, you know, okay. So,
See,
Varun, you
see,
haven't seen the show, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to take this seriously.
no, no. But my
Uh,
problem, my thing about Chris Patrick ka thing, I agree entirely. It's like you are relying on shorthand. Now, if you are making a show, okay, if you are making a show which is entirely your world, because this is SLB's Heeramandi. So, if this is your world, be like your protege. Be like your protege. Be so obsessed that you are making a world so entirely detailed that you know every nook and cranny.
no, but I feel those are different approaches. I feel Vikramaditya Motwane operates in a lower octave than Sanjay
Yes,
Leela
sir.
Bhansali
Yes, sir.
and closer to reality,
I'm not talking about octave. I'm talking
even
about the
aesthetically.
grandeur and build up of the sets, like the obsession with making sets and making his world as
अरे
constructively and as
यार.
tactfully as possible, right? Like there should be a tactility to his world. Like both Vikramaditya Motwane and Bhansali share that same thing. My point being, be as obsessed as him because we don't need
Yeah, I'm
shorthand. We
pretty
need
sure he's
details.
obsessed, yaar. नहीं?
I
We
think
need
he's
details.
No
obsessed.
one will
That is why
make
you
a
see so much
film. No,
indulgence, no?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So indulgence to aesthetic पे डाल रहे हो, but
I think,
be obsessed with your history as well. Be obsessed with the world you
पर
are
नहीं, but
नहीं
making.
है
उसको
ना
जाना ही
उसको.
नहीं है ना. Maybe he's creating his own history. That's what he's doing.
हाँ, I mean,
That's
creating
what
the
I'm
own
saying.
history. But
When
Yeah, but
you
screen पे he's creating his own history. But why is that a problem? I think that's my
but if
perspective at least.
no no, but if you are evoking तब recency bias आ जाता है. You get my
तो फिर
point. तब
इनग्लोरियस बास्टर्ड्स क्यों चल रही है? उसको भी गालियां दो हिस्टोरिकल इनएक्यूरेसी के लिए. वो भी तो
accuracy.
फैक्ट वो लेता है पीछे का.
गाली बहुत I think गाली मिली थी,
No,
right?
but you guys like it. I'm just saying that, apply
I
1940.
those
like it.
rules to
I'm
that.
saying गाली
So I'm just like, apply those rules to that also. World War II भी तो,
क्योंकि
उसी
हमारे
part का
देश
है.
में नाजी नहीं आए थे ना.
अरे sir, but no, I'm just saying you can't pick and choose then, no, when which films
I'm
will
not.
be applied. I'm just saying I'm also answering the Varun ka thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah, then
I think it is the fictional space, no? Isn't it, Chris Patrick?
no, but again, it's a thing. Like his aesthetic is becoming so overpowering that he overpowers the periodicity of it all and just makes it his own original stuff. Does it need to be problem? Does it need to be a problem? Not really. But if you are making a quote unquote period piece, थोड़ा grounded to reality होना जरूरत है.
No,
That's
I
what I
I'm
think
feel.
not sure, but
the
okay.
grounded to reality thing to me also doesn't. I don't think
Apply.
that way. But
Hmm.
I'm just saying in general only. I'll bring that same argument. If you're engaged in the drama, if you're
Yeah,
with
Yes,
the
exactly.
absolutely.
characters, you
I
will
agree.
not
I
care
agree.
about any
Which is
history, anything at all.
which
Which
this
happens.
also like Inglorious in your
हाँ,
like whatever.
नहीं
I
ना
mean,
यार
he's
SLB's
done this.
work यार SLB's work
Hmm.
in something whatever before
There is a
Bajirao also I think even though I don't love that film I think it the first half is great the second half is boring
there is a
but
reason. बोलो बोलो
but even in that you don't care about because I mean even though I'm unaware about the history I'm still like enjoying
there
that
is a
film or whatever.
yeah, there is a reason why this thread which you just read, Varun, Dhruv, this thread, variations of this thread always come out after every SLB project.
Sure.
Okay, some historian will come out with a projection ki kya accurate hai ya nahi hai. The reason
वो तो
why
अपना
this thread,
culture भी है, I think, like the whole key, comparing
yeah,
reality and
yeah,
yeah.
the thread, the reason why this thread is getting so shared and getting so much appraisal now, एक तो social media है, और दूसरी बात, many people are not liking the show and many people are not engaged with the show and they're getting out and they
That is
need some
totally fair.
outlet. They
That
need
is
some outlet to cash on the show, and this is
that
one
I
reason.
totally agree. Like, if you're not engaged in the drama and you're picking up on these things,
Yeah.
absolutely fair. There is no
100%.
problem with it. I'm just saying,
100%.
I'm not like, when I went into the show, I had no expectation of seeing reality. It is and I think what Chris Patrick is saying, it is an independent story, but there's so many independent stories, Chris, which I think use the independence, but then also
Okay.
use it in a way which is very filmy and over the top. And so I mean, it's, to me, again, you could, like, of course, I to think the independence angle only is the worst enemy of the film, like the
Yes.
overt independence angle. So yes, it shits the bed, I suppose, in the last episode, as we said, but or shits the castle, or whatever you want to say.
Castle.
Uh,
Wait, यही है सर.
yeah,
कोर्टयार्ड है.
uh,
पूरा कोर्टयार्ड शैट आउट उधर.
I agree.
At
I
least the
agree.
first
But
four episodes
don't
for
you think
me are
Ram
camp
Leela
enough.
goes to it? Don't you
I
think
think
Ram
Ram
Leela
Leela
slightly
has full
pushes into
camp.
it?
I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ramlila does.
Ram
No,
Leela does it.
in this, the Faridan and Malika Jan thing is close enough to camp. I feel like, it's like city.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's what
basically
I'm saying.
those
The first four
पूरा.
episodes में मुझे वो camp feel हो रहा है.
नहीं नहीं सर,
Honestly.
वो कैंप तो नहीं है.
Because
उसके बाद तो पूरा seriously
बीच
it's
में
going
romance
into
में चला जाता है, वही तो
okay.
प्रॉब्लम हो गया ना.
shits the Shahi Mahal. Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Are we done?
Anyways, I think we've discussed quite a bit about
Yeah. Dhruv, you
the
want to go with
Heeramandi.
your closing thoughts?
I mean, I think I've said most of the thing. I feel my single thing is that the reason I am not as down on the show is because I was sort of consistently engaged in the stuff. I was like, again, I could play this in the background and not be, I wouldn't miss much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I've also started appreciating Surface slightly more than I did before. Surface in the sense of filmic surface. You get whatever you're not just the way you stage and some of the I was a fan of some of the. I like shows that can be this patient sometimes with some of the camera stuff, which I think he is. And it has an old school, yes, it definitely, to me, it does have an old school charm to it in some sense. Does it work entirely? No, but I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. And the last episode, barring the last episode, which I think is bad, which I said
So
also.
people can watch till the 7th episode and not watch the 8th episode.
हाँ, basically वो कर लो, हाँ.
Interesting.
मेरा तो
या फिर I won't recommend it to like, I feel people who want to watch it will. What is this? Oh my God. Wow, what is wrong with the name Alamzeb?
I have no idea. Alam was Alam.
Alamgir plus Aurangzeb.
हाँ सर, वो यही सोच रहा था. Anyways, do you
Great
any other
discussion into
thoughts?
this
Any other thoughts on?
I'm yet to finish, so for me, I'm a little far also from finishing. 4 episodes is like 4 hours, more or less. So I have a lot to watch. But so
No,
far,
it's not
I
4
don't mind
hours,
it.
but like नहीं, but it's not 4
जो
hours.
भी
7
है.
मिनट के तो credits हैं हर episode के.
अरे वो मुझे
Yes.
पता है.
हाँ.
I also
But
think,
I just feel whatever I watch till now is fairly decent. It's not about that I'll recommend it to someone. I would just say, if you want to try it, you should try it, but at your own risk. Like, watch the first 2 episodes. If you don't like it, then don't go ahead. Like, you can invest like 1 hour into it. But
Yes,
I would
I
not
also-
discourage people from not watching this. That is,
I also think this is one of those shows that would have benefited. I know
Yes.
it's the Netflix model, it won't work. Jesus Christ, Varun. I know it's the Netflix model, it won't work, but I think this might have worked in a
एक लाफ भी नहीं
staggered.
मिलेगी उसको, I think, इसके लिए. हाँ.
I think this
वरुण को
might have
sorry.
this might have worked in a staggered release. I think this might have worked either as a
Possible.
weekly release or a staggered release. I think
Much
this would
better,
have-
I feel. Actually,
Much
it would have
better.
benefited from that.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Jesus
God.
Christ. Can we finish this now?
Yet, Sanjeet, why are you putting this up only? मत करना encouragement.
Yeah.
Suddenly the comments में.
Also, Chris Patrick is right, bro. Faridan being fruity for one scene, it's the same as Cartwright also being fruity for one scene. And I'm like, अरे कुछ तो करो.
Ustad Ji is consistently fruity though, I think,
Yes.
if that makes sense. Yes.
Yes.
But a great role, I feel, and yeah, like I thought it was very well
Great scene,
handled.
great scene in one episode though. Faridan suddenly puts an what is that thing called, the knob
Yes,
on
the
Ustadji's nose, and
yes,
how
he
he
feels
looks at it,
seen. No,
he feels seen, and then he walks away. I'm like, great,
hmm.
great.
Yeah.
That is one
He
scene
No,
out
does
of
thing.
they needed to be one pair, and then Malika Jan and Sattu and Fattu needed to be one pair, and that's your
also Sonakshi's entrance,
Heeramandi.
which I think I also agree with Bharadwaj Rangan to a certain extent. That entrance is gorgeous. How she's entering through
The
the
all
black.
black. Hmm.
Yeah,
Ah,
that entrance is
He
gorgeous.
somehow thought
nice.
Sonakshi wasn't good. I was like, really? Like,
Sonakshi
said that?
oh,
Sonakshi is
he
the
said he mentioned her on par with this uh, Sharmeen
What?
Sehgal.
no.
He
He said
said the
that.
two performances that don't work for me are Sonakshi and Sharmeen Sehgal because they look too
Which I
contemporary. I was
think are
like,
total
really?
opposites in that sense, in terms of just
I thought Sonakshi Sinha was
Sonakshi
absolutely effortless in this.
is
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
fantastic. I think
Yeah.
I hope, fingers crossed. I hope that her career
कोई
actually
hope
gets
मत रखो सर. I mean, I तो like she did Lutera, no? So and
looted.
उसके बाद उसने जो भी किया है. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's fun.
So,
She's having even Manisha Koirala is having fun. To be honest, she's like again making a meal out of your fast food. Anyways,
Yes.
okay,
um,
wrapping it up.
that's it. Wow,
Yes.
Yeah.
we last. Yeah.
Then she did Boss. बॉस में तो गाना ही था
Yes.
नहीं अच्छा दो ही गाने
Most
थे
of the
और
गाना ही था. Yes.
पता नहीं थी भी कि नहीं थी she did Son of
TV.
Sardar also
तू
but
है कि नहीं?
anyway thank
Like
you so much
in
if you're a new listener on this channel please make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel share it with friends there's also Spotify uh, podcast where we release episodes weekly more or less and those are more in-depth analytical deep dives into
ये भी
films
काफी था
shows
हाँ deep dive. But
Japanese
anyways,
I mean
yes.
film culture or
Can you please
subcultures
listen
about
to our samurai show because we did a lot of
Kobayashi
research
show.
for it.
So there are a lot of episodes on Spotify as well. Please, the links are in the description. You can please follow us on Spotify. It helps reach out to more people. We discuss many new things, many new films every week. You can message us on Instagram. The Instagram link is also in the bio, and we can surely, make sure we discuss those things
Suggest us
on.
topics. I mean, we have
Suggest us
something.
things as well.
We have something planned. Should we reveal it or no?
Yeah, those
Should
episodes
we?
are less interrupted also.
Yes.
But anyway,
Karo
thank you
Ruchi.
so much for
Do
listening.
you want us to reveal the plan we have for our episodes, and can we know if people will be interested to listen to this sort of thing?
Quickly, go for it.
So it's sort of like a
The future
one
episodes.
for future episodes. We are trying to sort of plan one of those, taking a foreign or Hollywood film and then placing it along with a Bollywood or Indian film, and sort of either saying how one echoes the other or how one responds to the
Good
other. So we're
companion piece,
trying
double bill also.
double bill or like just
Yes.
opposites of each other in many ways, and so you get a good mix, and we want to sort of do it with Indian films and with other films from other places because I
Yeah.
think it's fun to think about that. I saw Varun's thing.
Yes, we did.
It's quite a horrible
Great thing to end on.
combination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. This is the end of the episode. Khatam.